Chapter 976. At this moment, it was already close to dusk, and a dark red sunset glow floated up from the horizon. The glow of the sunset sprinkled onto this desolate mountain and wilderness, and it added a trace of an illusory aura to the lotus pond amidst the rocky beach. A few reincarnators appeared in the old temple in the distance, watching Chen Xuanzang and Sun Wukong meeting from afar. Zhuang Baifin's beautiful face turned pale with fright. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He opened his mouth wide and said in astonishment, "Sun Wukong can walk out of that cave?" "I don't think so," Rameau Khan said hesitantly. "It's still the entrance of the cave. Maybe Buddha intentionally let it out?" Magician was also surprised. "But," Zhuang Baifin said hesitantly, "then how can the Monkey King trick Qin Xuanzang into breaking Lianhua? He can't use the excuse of not seeing the moon for a long time. The plot is completely messed up. We should believe in the cunning of the Monkey King." Magician said hesitantly he should have a way. "Abe, no," Siamai laughed coldly. "Don't you still have us? If there's really no other way, we can go and undo the seal. That will increase the risk." Magician frowned. He thought for a long time, then raised his head and said, "We can't rely on the plot to prepare. Ever since we appeared beside Chen Xuanzang, the plot has started to change. If anyone thinks that they won't die by following the plot, then they should die as soon as possible. Don't drag us down. Fortunately, we don't rely on the plot to act." "Abe, no," Siamai laughed. "Everyone here is an elite in the God realm. It's not like we haven't experienced a complete collapse of the plot. In fact, isn't it normal for the realm to seek change?" Qin Xuanzang was also shocked. He stared at the slightly embarrassed monkey in front of him and said hesitantly, "You are Mr. Sun?" "Yes." Monkey King said calmly. "You are also here to find the Monkey King." "That's right, I am." Chen Xuanzang laughed dryly and said, "Mr. Sun's image seems to be a little bit different from the rumors." "I." The Monkey King sighed and said, "When did I wear the lotus silk cloud walking boots with a golden chainmail and wear the purple gold phoenix feather crown? I didn't expect everyone to think that I'm not the Monkey King when they see me now. What business do you have with me? Hello, Mr. Sunday. My surname is Qin, and I'm an unranked Mahayana disciple, Qin Xuanzang." Chen Xuanzang cupped his fists and said. The Monkey King glanced at the fruits on Chen Xuanzang's back and said, "Oh, so it's Mr. Qin. Please come in. Please come in." As he spoke, he jumped into the cave. Qin Xuanzang also jumped into the cave and disappeared from the eyes of the reincarnators. At the same stone table, Chen Xuanzang explained, "I'm here to ask you to teach me a method to subdue the pig demon." "Zhu Gangqi?" Monkey King asked. Chen Xuanzang nodded and said, "It's very demonic and has killed countless people. We can't do anything about it, so I came to ask you for advice." "I'm familiar with Zhu Gangqi." Monkey King patted his chest and said, "It's my little brother. How about this? I'll give you face. Tell me a place, and I'll tell it not to go there anymore. Although I haven't been a big boss for many years, I think it'll still give me face." Chen Xuanzang didn't expect it to agree so readily. However, he was a compassionate Buddhist, after all. He didn't want to temporarily eliminate a disaster, but to enlighten the pig demon. He quickly rejected and said, "Mr. Sun, it's like this. I'm not here to chase the pig demon away. If it goes to other places, it will still harm people. I want to awaken the truth and beauty in its heart so that it won't harm people anymore." "Awaken the truth and beauty in people's heart?" Monkey King said awkwardly, "I'm not very good at this. I usually use the golden cudgel to persuade them, physically. Awaken the truth and beauty in people and demons' hearts. People from the Mahayana monastery are more knowledgeable. Are you looking for the wrong person to find me? I want to ask you to teach me how to subdue the pig demon. After subduing the pig demon, I will use my wisdom and awareness to awaken the truth, kindness, and beauty in its heart." Chen Xuanzang originally wanted to take out the 300 Nursery Songs book, but when he touched his chest, he realized that the book had been torn by Miss Duan. Monkey King said awkwardly, "This Zhu Gangqi was cuckolded. Now you wanted to learn to forgive. In my opinion, this kind of thing is a little too much. Otherwise, you should just kill it. Otherwise, you should just beat it to death. At least it called me Big Boss. I can't do this kind of thing. Forgiveness has to come from the heart and accept it. What is the point of being forced to forgive by others? I know, Zhu Gangqi is still in love with his wife. In his heart, he still loves his wife. How about this? You go and reason with him. Let him get over this hurdle and learn to forgive." Chen Xuanzang said awkwardly, "It will kill me, Mr. Sunday. Then there's nothing I can do. Fortunately, when I was the Monkey King, I knew a few people from the Mahayana monastery. They're good at forgiving and being forgiven. I will give you an address. You can go and find them. Look." Monkey King touched the yellow soil on the ground and wrote a few lines on Chen Xuanzang's sleeve. Chen Xuanzang looked down and saw Guanyin Bodhisattva, Luoji Mountain, Purple Bamboo Forest, Tathagata Buddha, Great Hall of Great Thunderclap Monastery, Dragon Subduing Arhat, Hangzhou Lingyin Temple, 500 years later. Chen Xuanzang said awkwardly, "Mr. Sun, these bodhisattvas and Buddhas live too far away. I don't know when I can come back if I go and find them. By then, the pig demon will have killed many people." Monkey King slapped his thigh and said, I said that they are too detached from the masses. If they live so far away, how can they worry about the masses? If they want to save the masses, they can't be too far away from them. In this way, they have opened up a channel for letters and visits. You can go down the mountain and find a temple to pray to, and see if you can move them. Chen Xuanzang felt that it was reasonable. However, he remembered his master's instructions and asked, "Mr. Sun, do you really have no other way?" Monkey King pointed at the stone table and asked, "Even if I help you, what benefits will I get? You can't expect me to work so hard just for a few kilograms of bananas, right?" Chen Xuanzang said seriously, "Mr. Sun, you must have committed too many sins to be locked up here by the Buddhas. If you continue to save the masses and help them, I believe that one day the Buddhas will understand your enlightenment and let you out." Monkey King asked, "I'm locked up here? When was I locked up here? Do you know why I was called the Monkey King back then?" Monkey King pointed at his nose and asked. Chen Xuanzang shook his head. "If you don't know, how dare you spout nonsense? Back then, I was free and unfettered on Mount Huagua. Then, the Heavenly Court sent people down and said that I had a small property right. They wanted to demolish Mount Huagua to build a new immortal cave abode. They didn't even give me compensation. They even sent Li Jing's demolition team. How could I tolerate that? Of course not. So, I invited friends from all over the world and a group of people who were going to be demolished to resist the demolition at Mount Huagua for 7 days and 7 nights. I defeated many immortals from the Heavenly Court. Therefore, the brothers in the Tao call me the Great Sage, Heaven's equal." Then the Heavenly Court was shameless. Seeing that I was unyielding, he invited Buddha from the highest court in Mount Huagua to mediate. I foolishly believed him. Buddha Tathagata told me, "Sign it. I'll give you a house in Mount Huagua first, and give you a series of compensation." Then I signed it. The compensation was this house that claimed to have 3,000 acres of orchards and 1,000 miles of beach, a brand new Gold Coast, a prosperous scene in Chang'an, 300,000 acres of primeval forest, a luxurious cave abode with 5,000 square kilometers of living space. Later, I found out that the Heavenly Court forcefully demolished Mount Huagua because they sold the land to the Mount Huagua Real Estate Development Group. Now, what about the facilities promised by the developers? My private beach? My 5,000 acres of orchards? My 5,000 square kilometers of living space? Oh, that's true, but it's all AF *King Place, and this luxurious immortal's cave. Goku spread out his hand, indicating the cave with only 4 walls, and asked, "It's this kind of broken place, Mr. Sun?" Chen Xuanzang didn't know what to say. "After I help you subdue the pig demon, you don't have to do anything else. Just fulfill the promised facilities." Monkey King waved his hand. "Mr. Sun, I can't do that." Chen Xuanzang was in a difficult position. "Then go and find someone who can do it. Go and find Buddha. After all, you're part of the Mount Huagua system. You should be able to help me appeal. First, make the sea view and flood the Five-Finger Mountain. If it wasn't for the sea view cave abode, why would the people of Ally Nation move here?" Monkey King pointed at the Five-Finger Mountain and said, "Mr. Sun, this is the hinterland of the Tang Empire. If you want the sea view, you need to flood half of the Nanzhan continent. Many people will die. I don't care. Either you return Mount Huagua to me." Monkey King crossed his legs and said, "Mr. Sun, you're putting me in a difficult position." Chen Xuanzang didn't even want to ask about the method to subdue the pig demon. "If I want to find Buddha, why would I ask you?" "It's easy if you want to find Buddha. First, you can ask him about the method to subdue the pig demon. Second, also, help me ask about the facilities of the Five-Finger Mountain." Monkey King replied, "When Buddha came to me to mediate, he gave me a name card with his contact details on it. Then, why didn't Mr. Sun ask him yourself?" Qin Xuanzang asked. Monkey King sighed. "It's always Kasaipa who answers the calls. Buddha is either in a Dharma assembly or on his way to the assembly. You're part of the system, so you might be able to reach the Tao." Qin Xuanzang put his palms together and said, "Then give me Buddha's contact details." Goku questioned, "You can't forget it." "I definitely won't forget, Mr. Sunday. You say it as if you haven't forgotten." Wukong muttered. He pointed at the 6-word Great Light Mantra stele and said, "That is Buddha's business card. Take it to the moonlight and read the 6 words. When the dark clouds around the moonlight disperse, it means that someone has answered your call and you can contact Buddha." Chen Xuanzang looked at it for a long time and suddenly said, "Mr. Sun, is this the seal that Buddha used to suppress you?" Monkey King's expression changed unpredictably. He grimaced and said, "I told you to take it, so you took it. But you didn't want to take it and even doubted me for no reason. I was kind enough to guide you, but you doubted me. Since you doubted me, don't come here and ask me to guide you. This name card is not a big deal. I used to think that the words on it were too ugly, and I even carved them again. Since you doubt me, then just memorize the incantation on it. You don't have to take the stele. Anyway, this is just a name card. Remember the number. The incantation can also be used. Don't tell me I lied to you about the incantation." Chen Xuanzang was still doubtful. "Will the seal lose its effect when I recite the incantation?" The 6 words Great Light Mantra is very widespread. Monkey King shook his head and said, "You are also a disciple of Buddhism. You should be able to recognize it. But I can't rule out." Qin Xuanzang wanted to explain. Monkey King interrupted him and said, "That's enough. Why do you keep blabbering on and on? If Buddha wants to seal me, why would he set up a seal that can be easily broken? Is he playing with me or you? I know I am a talent, but between a talent and an employer, it is a two-way choice, right? I can't just go and get the scriptures just because you asked me to." "What did you say, Mr. Sun?" Chen Xuanzang asked doubtfully. "Don't mind what I said. Hurry up and break the seal." "No, it's to contact Buddha. I misspoke just now. Go and contact Buddha and ask for the method to deal with the pig demon. Also, help me settle the compensation for the demolition." "You just said that the seal has been broken," Chun Xuanzang said seriously. Chapter 977. "You did." Chun Xuanzang said seriously. "I heard clearly. You said, 'Don't mind what I say. Go up and undo the seal.' I changed it later. What I say isn't important. What's important is whether you're willing to give it a try." Monkey King shrugged. You just have to go up there, face the moonlight, and chant, Mani Mani Padme Hum. Really? Chan Xuanzang asked doubtfully. Monkey King sighed helplessly. I see you still don't believe me. Since you don't want to chant the 6-syllable mantra left here, let's change it. I remember that the way to contact Guanyin is Maha, Prajna Permitha. You can also chant it, Jiti Jiti, Permitha Jiti, Permitha Jiti, Permitha Jiti. And the way to contact Mahavarakana, Lin Bing Doja, all information. You can choose any one. Chen Xuanzang asked doubtfully. I've learned the 9 syllables mantra and Prajna Permitha mantra before. Can I really contact Buddha by chanting them? Of course you can't read it. You need a device that can let Buddha receive your request. For example, this 6-word Great Light incantation stele is a business card left here by Buddha. You can read it and you will be right. Goku pointed to the stele placed in the corner of the cave. Chan Xuanzang looked at it for a long time and shook his head. Mr. Sun, I feel that this is Buddha's seal to suppress you. Goku said sternly, so you don't believe me? I believe you. Chan Xuanzang turned his head and saw Miss Duan jumping down from above. He couldn't help but feel a headache as he said, Why did you follow me here? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. I realize that you're a little mysterious. People who don't look like good people often appear around you. I'm worried about you, so I followed you. Miss Duan said, We have serious matters to discuss now. It's related to subduing the pig demon. Go away. Qin Xuanzang waved his hand. I have serious matters to discuss now. I'm not here to bother you. Miss Duan said helplessly, I've been following you for the past few days. Do you still remember the day when we encountered the pig demon and the mysterious exorcists? I went back and checked. Although I've heard of their names among the exorcists, no one has actually encountered them. Later, I was worried about you, so I secretly followed behind you. I discovered that someone was also following you. It should be related to those exorcists. I know you're here to look for the Monkey King, and I suspect that someone is trying to find the King of the Demons, the Monkey King, through you. Find the Monkey King. Chan Xuanzang glanced at the Monkey King, who was pretending not to hear anything, and asked, Why are they looking for the Monkey King? For 500 years, no one has ever found the Monkey King, Miss Duan said solemnly. But in this world, only Mr. Sun is recognized as the king of the fiendish demons. The Monkey King said modestly, It's just a hero doesn't boast about his past achievements. I've only killed a few deities, caused chaos in the heavenly palace, and broke one of Rilai's hands. Although I'm no longer in the pugilistic world, there are still legends about me everywhere. Exorcists focus on exorcism. The reason why so many people want to subdue the pig demon isn't because they want to help the people, but because the families of the people who were killed by the pig demon put up a bounty. If they can subdue the pig demon, they can gain fame and fortune. That's why so many people are here. This is just a pig demon. What if it's the king of the demons, the Monkey King? But the Monkey King has been locked up here for 500 years. The people he killed should be long dead. There shouldn't be any bounty, right? Chun Xuanzang said doubtfully. Hey. What you said is wrong. When did I kill mortals? The Monkey King said with a smile, In my life, I've only swung my stick at the strong and never the weak. Do you think I'm a coward like Zhu Ganglai? He earned his fame by killing mortals, but I, the Monkey King, earned my fame by smashing the southern heavenly gate to the cloudy palace of the golden arches with a steel pipe in my hand. I'm not exaggerating at all. Sun Wukong is the king of fiendish demons. Only an exorcist who subdued the king of fiendish demons can be called the king of exorcists, Miss Duan said solemnly. For the sake of this reputation, many exorcists can disregard it. You're saying, Chan Xuanzang was shocked, someone wants to release the Monkey King? I don't know, but someone is indeed guiding us here. Mr. Emptiness Heaven's Legbreaker, and Tiger-form Fist are nearby. The pig demon has also been lured to the Five Fingers Mountain. In another day, it will be the night of the full moon. If they discover this place, they won't let the Monkey King go. I think so. You don't have to worry too much. It's still uncertain who will let the other go. The Monkey King said with a smile. Then we must not let them take down the 6 words stone tablet of the Great Radiance incantation. Chan Xuanzang said seriously, this is the place where the Buddha sealed Mr. Sunday. If we release a more terrifying demon just to subdue the pig demon, we will be the sinners of the Great Tang Empire. AI. Did you hear me? I already said that I'm staying here voluntarily. The Buddha has never imprisoned me. In fact, I've been waiting for a fated person to bring 2 caddies of fruits here. Only then will I let go of the past, the Monkey King, and become anew and free me. Monkey King said honestly, but the 2 people beside him didn't believe him. At this time, Heaven's Legbreaker's voice came from the top of the cave. There's a lotus pond in front. This place is so desolate, but there's actually a lotus pond under the moonlight. Even an idiot would know that there's a ghost here. The Monkey King added, that's right. This exorcist has the same opinion as me. Miss Duan said anxiously, I'll stop them. You stay here and don't move. Then, without waiting for Chen Xuanzang's reply, she leaped out of the cave. Chen Xuanzang wanted to say something, but stopped. He wanted to reach out his hand, but he retracted it in the end. The Monkey King took out the durian he brought and split it with his hand. Instantly, a strong aroma filled the air. As he chewed on the durian, he asked, she likes you? Chen Xuanzang wasn't willing to answer. The Monkey King asked again, actually, you haven't reached the threshold yet. Although you're a monk, there's no rule that says a monk can't love a person, right? Why do you know so much? Chen Xuanzang turned back and said, shouldn't demons have no attachments? Why do you know about love and hatred in the human world? If you know about love and hatred in the human world, why did you accumulate so much hatred and obsession? If I don't know about love and hatred, why would I be obsessed, hateful, resentful, and sorrowful? The Monkey King chewed on the durian and smiled. Aren't the demons in this world human? If the fish demon wasn't unrewarded for his kindness, if the pig demon wasn't obsessed with love, if you weren't unable to get what you wanted, then what about you, Mr. Sun? Chen Xuanzang asked. Why did you become a demon? The Monkey King put down the durian and clapped his hands. All right, you want to reform me, right? Then let me tell you, I became a demon because of the victorious fighting Buddha. It was the Buddha's unwillingness that gave birth to me. And I just want to be free, to break away from those restraints that restrict my fate. You should understand this feeling very well. For example, as a Mahayana disciple, you've cut off all emotions. Yet, there's such a good woman who likes you. Don't you feel unresigned? Then, one day, the Buddha bestowed upon you a great responsibility. He wanted you to realize it, so he killed your woman. To put it nicely, he wanted you to comprehend the great love in the human world. Then, he sought a way to free yourself from all the sufferings of time. When you understood that all of this was a trick of fate, you would also become a demon. I'm different from the fish demon and pig demon. One of them is resentful, while the other is hateful. But I just want to be free. But to the Buddha, wanting freedom, resentment, and hatred are the same. They are all demons. Why? Qin Xuanzang was puzzled. However, Wukong suddenly revealed an incomparably malevolent expression. It was as if he wanted to destroy the world and possessed boundless demonic nature. Qin Xuanzang was so frightened that he crawled and rolled, escaping to a corner of the cave. Wukong laughed loudly and said, because my freedom is bound to destroy everything. Because my freedom is built on the pain of others. Because I am destined to destroy this world. Chapter 978. At this time, Tian Zhaojiao's old voice came from above. Miss Duan, If there's nothing in front, why are you stopping us? I, Tian Jiao Jiao, have always given you face. Now, I just want to go over and take a look. You won't deny me even this little bit of face, right? Miss Duan's voice was clear, and she didn't show any weakness. I don't care. Now, my sweetheart is bathing over there. Whoever dares to go over, I'll dig his eyes out. Sweetheart? Tian Jiao Jiao laughed. That silly boy. He's not suitable for you. At this time, a voice with a Hunan accent suddenly interrupted them. Tian Jiao Jiao, why are you wasting your time with her? If she doesn't let us go over, we'll fight our way over. Above the cave, among the rocks on the opposite side of the lotus pond, a man dressed in tight clothes and speaking in Hunan dialect was confronting Miss Duan together with an old man with white hair and beard. The old man had an iron crutch and a deformed right leg the size of a baby. They were two of the three great exorcists, the tiger-form fist and the heavenly crippling leg. The tiger-form fist was already a little impatient. He slammed the rock in front of him and pounced towards Miss Duan like a ferocious tiger. His iron claws were as hard as black iron, and a strong wind blew under his claws. A trace of claw force was released, and it scraped the rocks nearby, leaving 5 deep marks on them. It was as if the force could split a mountain. The tiger-form fist was actually the 5 forms fist. It was the grandmaster of the tiger, crane, dragon, snake, and praying mantis fist techniques. These 5 fist techniques were also known as the 5 sects of Southern Fist. As for why the person who practiced them to the peak was a Hunan man from the Central Plains, it was not known to outsiders. The hinterland of the Central Plains had been the home of martial arts since ancient times. Sangzhou of Hebei was the origin of Duogai Fist and 8 Extremities Fist. Why did a northerner of the tiger form fist practice the Southern Fist? This seemed to be another mystery. Among the 5 form fists, only the tiger form was the one that he had truly grasped the essence of. Now that he was displaying it to his heart's content, not to mention a woman like Miss Duan, even Zhu Ganglai would be torn into 2 pieces. The tiger form fist wore a pair of cloth shoes. At this moment, at the tips of the shoes, 5 saw fingers protruded out like the 5 pads of a tiger or leopard. With these 5 fingers grasping the ground, the knees slightly bent, the center of gravity of the body lowered, and the spine rose and fell like a cat. The 10 fingers grasped and released, driving the 2 arms, leg bones, shoulder blades, and using the spine as the center of gravity, rising and falling in sync with the breathing. A thunderous, snoring sound came from his chest and abdomen. It was the sound of a tiger leopard's thunder, just like the premonition of a tiger pouncing on its prey. Miss Duan was astonished to see that his eyes were almost shining like vertical slits. The amorphous flying hoop in Miss Duan's hand had already been removed. In her hand, the golden hoop trembled slightly, as if it could launch an earth-shattering attack at any time. Looking at the amorphous flying hoop, Tian Zhongjiao's eyes were slightly fearful. He said in a low voice, "Ever since your grand-granddaughter, Miss Bai Ling, went into seclusion, the Jianghu hasn't heard of the power of the amorphous flying hoop for a long time. Miss Duan, I respect you for being a woman, but being able to make a name for yourself among the exorcists. It's fine if you retreat now. If you don't, do you think you can withstand the power of the 5 form fists and me? If you want to fight, then fight. If not, then retreat. I'm protecting this place today." Miss Duan shouted stubbornly. Tian Zhongju sighed. Before he could say anything, the tiger form fist had already pounced forward. In Miss Duan's eyes, the tiger form fist seemed to have really turned into a huge, white-browed worm that pounced forward. A huge, sharp claw converged its strength, and the soft flesh pad seemed to contain the power that was enough to smash a boulder. As soon as it touched Miss Duan, it spat it out in horror, flicked out its sharp claw, and shattered it. Miss Duan's right hand shook, and the amorphous flying hoop drew an unbelievable trajectory. Suddenly it split into 3. One spun, accumulating a huge power as it spun, directly striking the back of the white-browed worm's head. The other had an unpredictable trajectory, aiming for the worm's face. The last one went to block Tianzhongjiao. As the amorphous flying hoop flew, its center of gravity changed unpredictably. It could be controlled with true qi, and it could operate at will, chasing after the soul. In the blink of an eye, the white-browed worm's flesh pad collided with the amorphous flying hoop. The tiger-form fist was a combination of hardness and softness, but the amorphous flying hoop was indestructible. As the spine of the worm rotated like a dragon, all the strength in its body was spat out, while the other was constantly rotating, using the principle of changing the center of gravity, accumulating a monstrous power. As soon as they met, it was earth-shattering. The tiger-form fist's right hand was blocked, and Miss Duan couldn't help but take 2 big steps back. Only then did she manage to dissolve the great power. She pushed the golden hoop away and crashed into the cliff beside her. Immediately, a corner of the cliff collapsed, and a huge rock the height of 3 people broke in half and fell down. Heavenly crippling leg. His right foot stepped forward. Miss Duan felt as if there was a gigantic shadow of a leg in front of her. It carried an aura as heavy as a mountain, and the surrounding rocks all sunk by 3 inches. It was a powerful force that was almost unstoppable. Miss Duan couldn't stand still. She felt a tightness in her chest and was sent flying. The 2 great enemies in front of her took the opportunity to close in, stepping into the lotus pond. Their fists and feet met, but they had a tacit understanding. When they pressed towards Miss Duan, they used the tiger-form fist and the Tianzhongjiao together. Their auras faintly matched, making it impossible for Miss Duan to dodge. She had to make way for them. Other than retreating, there was no other way out. However, Miss Duan wasn't willing to retreat. She gritted her teeth, and the indefinite flying hoop in her hand scattered, like a heavenly flower, transforming into countless golden hoop. She attacked in a way that would injure both sides. Moreover, she would be heavily injured, and the others would be lightly injured. At this moment, a flying sword flew between the 3 of them, splitting the countless golden hoop and forcing the Tianzhongjiao and the tiger-form fist to retreat. Mr. Emptiness. The tiger-form fist was stunned at first, and then he said angrily, "What are you doing here?" Not far from the lotus pond, an elegant man in white clothes was surrounded by 4 beauties in white. He stepped on the petals that filled the sky. Gradually, he could be seen sitting in a wheelchair, and his face was slightly pale. He could only move if he was carried by the 4 simple and strong aunties with a simple temperament. Even a slight movement would cause him to pant and show signs of weakness. The 4 aunties carried Mr. Emptiness to the side of the lotus pond. Mr. Emptiness couldn't help but cough twice. "You are all outstanding exorcists. Why do you have to make a scene because of a moment of anger? Everyone, please give me some face and let this matter go. However, I would like to advise everyone that the Monkey King is the king of demons, the #1 demon in thousands of years. Apart from me, who else can subdue him? For the sake of everyone's lives, please step aside. Otherwise, you will lose your lives in vain. Mr. Emptiness, you are here to stir up trouble again," the tiger-form fist said. Tianzhongjiao also laughed and said, "Since everyone is here for the Monkey King, let's find the Monkey King first. We can talk about other things later." Mr. Emptiness smiled, and the few of them turned to look at Miss Duan. However, Miss Duan braced herself and said, "There is no Monkey King here. You have come to the wrong place." Crack! Amidst the stalemate, the sudden bite attracted everyone's attention. It was crisp and juicy. The sound of a fresh and refreshing fruit being bitten open could be imagined, and it attracted everyone's attention. The few of them looked back and saw a stone in the middle of the lotus pond. Behind it was a blooming lotus, and there was a cave entrance. A man and a monkey were sitting at the cave entrance. The monkey was holding an apple and was biting it, Seeing that everyone's attention was on him, the monkey said vaguely, "You guys talk, I will just take a look." Tian Zhongjiao pointed at the monkey and exclaimed, "Monkey King!" Miss Duan revealed an anxious expression and asked Chen Xuanzang in a low voice, "Why did you bring it up here?" Chen Xuanzang said helplessly, "It came here on its own, and I can't stop it." "Even if you can't stop it, you have to. If they release the Monkey King, we will be finished." Chen Xuanzang looked at the three exorcists, and he braced himself to stand up and said, "My dear friend, which eye of yours saw that it is the Monkey King? There is no name written on its body. It is just a monkey, and you can't say that every monkey is the Monkey King, right? I feel that we should be bold in this matter and be careful in verifying it. Look, it is so down and in such a sorry state. It doesn't look like the King of Demons, the Monkey King, the Monkey King. This is the monkey language interpreter that I hired on the way to the Five Fingers Mountain. Please forgive me." Chen Xuanzang's mouth was full of nonsense that no one believed, but the three great exorcists didn't even look at him. "Monkey King, I didn't expect you to be down and out like this after being sealed for 500 years. Tian Zhongjiao sneered and said, "You are the King of Demons." "I didn't expect that you would be down and out like this after being sealed for 500 years. Tian Zhongjiao sneered and said, "You are the King of Demons." Chapter 979. A damned cripple, a half-cripple, and a mentally retarded person. Goku pointed at them one by one with his finger, shook his head and sighed with emotion. How carefully did this generation of exorcists select the three of you to be placed in front of me? Are you trying to make me laugh to death so that you can inherit the title of Monkey King? Oh, I can understand the cripple and the mentally retarded person. Now, tell me, what is a half-cripple? Mr. Emptiness didn't react at first, but when he did, he became agitated. He panted heavily and pointed at Monkey King with a trembling voice. His finger that was pointing at Monkey King couldn't stop trembling. It could be seen how agitated he was. "You haven't seen how powerful I am." Ever since Emptiness Cripple had mastered his martial arts, no one dared to talk to him like this. He was so angry that his beard flew up. He pointed at Monkey King and said sternly, later, under my Emptiness Cripple, "Don't beg for mercy so easily." "Who are you calling retarded?" Tiger Form, Fist Master, said angrily. Tiger Form, Fist Master, couldn't hold back anymore. He rubbed his palms together and was about to attack. Mr. Emptiness quickly stopped him and said, "Didn't we agree that I will go first this time? I want him to make it clear that I am not a half-cripple." He suddenly turned around and pointed at Monkey King. "If you don't make it clear today, don't even think about leaving. Your face is pale and pale. Judging from your movements, your limbs are cold, and you are short of breath. You only moved for a short while, but you are already sweating all over, and your limbs are cold. When you speak, your tongue is light and tender, and the shape of your tongue is fat and thick. Do you have soreness in your waist and knees, pain in your heels, dry mouth, thirst and insomnia? This is a sign that your kidneys are weak and you don't have enough yang qi." Monkey King scratched his hands and feet and explained, "To be honest, I have seen many people with weak kidneys. I, old son, have seen many people with kidney deficiency, but it's the first time I've seen someone as weak as you. Kidney deficiency is divided into yin deficiency and yang deficiency, but in your case, kidney yang, kidney yin, kidney qi, and kidney essence are all weak. There's no difference whether you have a kidney or not. You're already so weak, yet you still dare to say that you're not half-crippled. In my opinion, it's just a little bit more." Mr. Emptiness asked nervously, "What's wrong?" "You are a cripple." The Monkey King sighed. "You said that my kidneys are weak." Mr. Emptiness turned around and looked at Tian Zhongjiao. "Did you tell him that?" Tian Zhongjiao was very innocent. He spread his hands and said, "No, I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. Let me tell you, I'm absolutely fine with the kidney. My kidney function has been very strong since I was young. Don't frame me. I'll sue you for slander. I'll sue you for slander. Mr. Emptiness spoke incoherently. He was flustered. A middle-aged woman beside him suddenly laughed. Ha 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 ha. You have kidney deficiency, the other middle-aged woman said. Do you still need to sprinkle the flowers? It's none of your business. Shut up, Mr. Emptiness said agitatedly. Kidney deficiency. You can't be afraid of treatment. Your condition should be treated as soon as possible. The Monkey King shook his head and sighed. Tian Zhanjiao asked, Can it be cured? Mr. Emptiness was still denying it, but his ears were secretly pricking up. The Monkey King shook his head and said, It can't be cured. There's no cure. Prepare for the funeral. My condolences to the family. Then why are you still talking? The tiger form, Fist, mocked him. This kind of conservative treatment is to try to prolong the patient's life. The Monkey King explained, It's to give the family a process of acceptance. I've never heard that the Monkey King knows how to treat illnesses. Chen Xuanzang whispered to Miss Duan. Mr. Emptiness seemed to have grasped the last, life-saving straw. He coughed a few times, and his face turned even paler. He pointed at the Monkey King and said, Then, how can a demon like you treat illnesses? Don't you know that you, the great sage, heaven's equal, can diagnose and treat illnesses? Do I have to report to you what I know? The Monkey King pointed at the stone cave and said, I was the one who wrote the 6-word Great Light incantation stele. Why? Because Tathagata's writing isn't as good as mine. Did I show off? I didn't. During the funeral of the Gautama Buddha, I took everything from the scripture hall and memorized the Sanzang Sutra. Did I tell anyone about it? I didn't. What will you think of when you hear the name of the Monkey King? Wreaking havoc in heaven. 72 transformations, body as hard as iron. Somersault cloud that can travel 108,000 miles. Dharma image of heaven and earth. And a handful of monkey hair can create millions of clones. These are just a small part of my skills. Back then, the thunder god competed with me in lightning, and I killed it with one strike. Did I show off? I'm well-read and proficient in countless languages and dialects. I was once a disciple of the immeasurable heavenly Lord and learned physics, chemistry, mathematics, Eastern and Western philosophy. I'm proficient in advanced physics, space physics, quantum mechanics, and space-time theory. Have you heard of them? No. That's why I'm a low profile and never show off, a god of learning. You can call me Defeating the Buddha of Wits. Mr. Sun has learned the Sanzang Sutra. Chen Xuanzang was a little surprised. It's said that the Sanzang Sutra is the supreme scripture of our Mahayana sect. It was passed down by the Gautama Buddha himself, and it can resolve all the sufferings in the world. It's just propaganda, how can you believe it? The Monkey King waved his hand and said, During the funeral of the Gautama Buddha, an extremely powerful devil plotted against him, and his golden body came back to life. At that time, I, Old Sun, was still an official in the celestial heavens and hadn't fallen out with the Jade Emperor because of the demolition. Thus, I was sent to the Gautama Buddha to handle this matter. During that period, I memorized the Sanzang Sutra. Have you heard of the Gautama Buddha's Dharma? The Monkey King asked. Chen Xuanzang said honestly, I haven't. I only listened to 8 or 10 of them. Back then, I was just short of a certificate, and I would have become a Buddha. It's just that I wasn't willing to take the test. It's boring to be a local establishment. The celestial heavens invited me to be the great emperor equal to heaven. That's a supreme establishment and the title of venerable emperor. I thought about it for a long time before I reluctantly agreed. The Monkey King sat on a rock with his back facing Linhua. He crossed his legs and said in an awe-inspiring manner. Looking at the 3 stunned exorcists, the Monkey King coughed and said seriously, That half-cripple. Your main problem is that you've refined a few flying swords. Flying swords are made of metal. They're also made of gunmetal and yang metal. Therefore, when the gunmetal is entrenched in your lungs, it'll greatly damage your liver. However, the true qi that you've cultivated forcefully supports the liver. Instead, it'll damage the gunmetal in your lungs and the water in your kidneys. Because the 5 qi are stagnant, it'll be hard to clear them. Therefore, your origin will be damaged and your 5 internal organs will be empty. Among them, the damage to the kidneys is the most severe, because the water in the kidneys is in harmony with the 5 internal organs. It'll be the most affected. The reason why I said that you're incurable is because if you don't get rid of the gunmetal qi, it'll be hard to cure your illness. All other methods will only make you struggle at death's door. Mr. Sun, do you think there's any way I can save you? Mr. Emptiness sat beside the Monkey King and asked politely, If I want to get rid of your sword energy, you definitely won't agree. Halfway through his sentence, Wukong suddenly changed his words, leaving young Master Emptiness in suspense. Young Master Emptiness went forward to massage Wukong's legs and flattered him. You've even eaten the peaches of immortality from the heavenly court, and you even dared to taste Taishang Laojuan's golden pill. There must be a way, right? Unless the 5 qi's unification, which causes the qi of the 5 elements to circulate on their own, it'll be difficult. The Monkey King shook his head. Miss Duan lowered her head and thought for a while. Suddenly, she said, 5 qi's unification. Doesn't that mean I'll become a deity? The Monkey King said with certainty, I'll become a deity. Chun Xuanzang asked weakly, Mr. Sun, can you let me take a look at your Sanzang true scripture? The Monkey King looked at him for a while and shook his head. No. Can you just look at the Sanzang true scripture? If you look at it, believe it or not, a huge palm that covers half of the Nanzhan section state will appear in the sky and slap you into the cycle of reincarnation. I'm not afraid of it. If it comes down, I'll just give it a discount. Can you do that? Chun Xuanzang asked doubtfully. The Sanzang true scripture can save the suffering of the world and deliver all living beings from suffering. Why would anyone stop me from bringing it to the world? I've already said that it's for publicity. Wukong sternly said, If the publicity effect is true, then my house, which claims to have 3,000 acres of orchards in all 4 seasons and 1,000 miles of beach facing the sea, can be enjoyed exclusively. The brand new Gold Coast and the prosperous atmosphere of Chang'an. 300,000 hectares of primeval forest with natural oxygen bar. 5,000 square kilometers of luxurious cave abode on the Five Fingers Mountain. How can it be so shabby? Also, there are Yaoqi flat peaches and Zhen Yuanzi's ginseng fruits. Don't look at the advertisements, look at the effects. Do you know where the western Mount Numinous is? The place called India? I don't know. Chun Xuanzang shook his head. I've been there. It's just so. It's not as good as the Tang Empire. Look at the people at the foot of the Numinous Mountain. What can the so-called Sanzang true scripture do? When it comes to delivering all living beings from suffering, I know a very professional teacher. Only his pure land of ultimate bliss is not fake. It's the real deal. Let me introduce him to you. Who is he? He lives in the Earth Extremity Blood Sea. He's called the River Styx Old Ancestor. However, he hasn't delivered all living beings from suffering for a long time. He's been handed over to a person called the Future Demon Ancestor, Bo Sun's teacher, Mahesvara Buddha Lord. Just say, Amitabha Buddha, and you'll be able to contact my teacher. He'll introduce you to him. Teacher's son. Mr. Emptiness took the opportunity to ask, Look at my illness. The Monkey King handed him a piece of rag and said, Go to this address. There's someone there who can save you. Whether you can move him or not will depend on your luck. Mr. Emptiness took it and looked at it. On it was written, Longevity Mountain No. 1, 5th Manor Monasteries Zhen Yuanzi. The heaven-crippling legs was dazzled by the series of changes. When he saw the Monkey King standing up and looking at him, he immediately took 2 steps back and smiled. Monkey King, don't try to lie to me. The heaven crippling legs, will definitely take your head today and become the #1 exorcist. The heaven crippling divine technique, right? The Monkey King said impatiently. Chapter 980. Did you hear what they were saying? Zhuang Baifin and a group of samsara travelers stood in the ancient temple and looked at the situation from afar. He asked Ramir Khan. Ramir Khan shook his head regretfully. I can't hear them. Someone must have sealed the aura and sound there. I just don't know if they don't want us to hear it or if it's the effect of Buddha's seal. But it seems like the Monkey King is provoking the heaven crippling leg. Can the unsealed Monkey King defeat the heaven crippling leg? Zhuang Baifin was doubtful. It's hard to say. We don't know how powerful it is. According to the original plot, after the Monkey King unsealed, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill the heaven crippling leg. In fact, in the original plot, no one could pose a threat to it. Mr. Emptiness should be the most powerful among the 3 exorcists. Even among the samsara travelers, he would at least be an expert who had broken through the divine gate. But when faced with the Monkey King, he would not be able to fight back. Abe No Saimai analyzed. According to our previous tests, the tiger form fist is the weakest, equivalent to a martial arts expert who has broken through the divine gate threshold. The heaven crippling leg is equivalent to an expert who has broken through the divine gate level 1. He is not inferior to us. If we take into account the spatial items and our trump cards, we have a higher chance of winning if we go all out. As for Mr. Emptiness, he is at least an expert who has broken through the divine gate level 2. Only the pretentious criminal, the magician, and immortal Hans can be his match, Abe No Saimai said seriously. In this way, when Sun Wukong was at his peak, which was the great sage, heaven's equal, he should have been a master who had broken through all 4 levels of the gate of God. According to the analysis of the sage of space, the golden cudgel of Sun Wukong, which had just broken the seal, was transformed from the hair of the hare. The original one should not be in his hands now. In addition, because he had been sealed for 500 years, his power was 1 level lower than when he was at his peak. After wearing the golden hoop transformed from the invincible flying ring, his demonic nature was restrained, and his strength dropped another level. Therefore, during the demon subduing period, Sun Wukong was only at the level of 3 levels of the Gate of God and was no match for Jinren Jiogong. Therefore, we have to seize the opportunity when the Monkey King seal is undone to restore his true form. When his demonic nature erupts, we can use the demon-revealing mirror to separate him into 2 sides, the divine nature and demonic nature. This way, his strength should be limited to the God's gate, breaking 3. Only then will we have a chance of conquering him. Abe No Haruaki smiled and said, but for the sealed Monkey King, we really can't determine his strength. Didn't you lure these exorcists here to test the current strength of the Monkey King? Zhuang Baifin only smiled faintly and said, the heaven-crippling leg is not that simple. Hans the Enlightened added, in the westward journey, the heaven-crippling leg is just a side character. In the related plot world, he is the big boss villain. The setting of the westward journey exorcism chapter is deeply influenced by Hong Kong's film, television, and manga culture. In Stephen Chow's related movies, such as The Kung Fu World, there was a Buddha's palm that was on par with the heaven-crippling leg. Moreover, in the westward journey exorcism chapter, there was the ultimate version of the Buddha's palm. Someone once dug deep into the hidden plot of Kung Fu and actually met a hidden plot character who had mastered the heaven-crippling divine art. Even Ah Xing, who had mastered the Buddha's palm in the Kung Fu world, was no match for the heaven-crippling divine art. The heaven-crippling divine art is even stronger than the fiery cloud evil god. The heaven-crippling divine art, the Buddha's palm, and the fiery cloud evil god came from a series of old wuxia novels. Lu Kanying's Evil God series, The Disciples of the Evil God, The 8 Laws of the Buddha, and so on. Someone in the realm has always wanted to explore this series of storylines. Unfortunately, It only appeared a few times in the early history of the realm, and the information about it has already been lost. Zhuang Baifeng habitually changed the topic. However, related elements have been circulating in Hong Kong's TV series, movies, and comics. This has led to many Hong Kong comic storylines appearing in them, such as the world of the Buddha's palm, the world of wind and cloud, the world of divine palm, the world of modern Buddha's palm, the world of dragon and tiger, the world of divine weapon, and the world of legend of Son of Heaven. Perhaps it's a form of respect for the Lord God. As long as there is a world with the Buddha's palm, there will be a storyline related to the heaven-crippling divine art. Therefore, there are many different versions of the heaven-crippling divine art circulating in the realm. For example, in Shu Zhongzhong, there was someone who had practiced the heaven-crippling divine art. Unfortunately, he died in a group battle before reaching the divine gate. Therefore, there is almost no data about the heaven-crippling divine art after reaching the divine gate. In other words, this heaven-crippling divine art has appeared in many storylines, and all of them are very strong. Rameau Khan summarized Zhuang Baifeng's words. If we can collect the heaven-crippling divine art from those different worlds and give it to heaven-crippling divine art, he might be strengthened to a terrifying level. It's like how someone in the realm has been collecting the Buddha's palm from different worlds in an attempt to combine all the versions of the Buddha's palm and cultivate it into the ultimate Buddha's palm that is only in the imagination of those crazy martial artists. Ampi Saimai was also led astray by the topic. However, Zhuang Baifeng smiled disdainfully. Don't forget that the most powerful skill that appeared in the westward journey was the Buddha's palm. According to the general pattern of the heaven-crippling divine art being on par with the Buddha's palm. Perhaps it's because heaven-crippling divine art is too useless, and he didn't manage to cultivate the real heaven-crippling divine art. The heaven-crippling divine art being on par with the Buddha's palm is just the ravings of those crazy martial artists. Hans clearly didn't like martial artists. He retorted, "The westward journey is a cultivation world. All the characters there are deities and demons. Martial arts and whatnot are not worth mentioning here. Don't take the clues from Hong Kong manga and use it mechanically. If you have the ability, go and say that to those lunatics who have broken the 4th level of the Gate of God." Zhuang Baifeng sneered. "Stop diverting the topic," Magician shouted coldly. "They're about to fight." The dark clouds in the sky dispersed, and the moonlight shone on the lotus pond. Monkey King sat on a rock. The Lianhua behind him trembled slightly, and the moonlight dew was about to drip. Heaven-crippling divine art looked at Monkey King and smiled slyly. "Monkey King, you're sealed by the Buddha's palm. You can't leave that rock, right? That way, you won't be able to block or escape. You can only die under my heaven-crippling divine art. It'll be a tragic sight. It's a pity that your strength is sealed by the Buddha. I wonder how much of it you can use?" Heaven-crippling divine art laughed. "If I kill you like this, people will say that I have an unfair advantage. Mr. Emptiness and the rest of you won't be happy either. But so what? After I kill you, I'll be the #1 exorcist." Heaven-crippling divine art laughed even louder. Monkey King scratched his ears and laughed. "There's nothing in this world that can suppress your Grandpa Sunday. You've said so much. I'm getting impatient. Since you want to reincarnate earlier, I won't keep you." Heaven's crippled feet let out a shout and leaped into the air with superb lightness skill. He flew to the mountainside of the 5-Finger Mountain, leaned his crutch against the mountain, and looked down at the group of people in the lotus pond. Then he blew a breath of true chi toward his crippled leg. Instantly his right leg, which was as small as a baby, swelled up. Every strand of hair was as tall as 2 people and as thick as a person's waist. His whole leg stepped on 5-Finger Mountain. Heaven-crippling divine art laughed wildly and stomped on the ground, leaving a deep footprint in the stone pit. The hard rock of 5-Finger Mountain caved in, leaving a hole that was as deep as half a person. Chun Xuanzang and Miss Duan were dumbfounded. Tiger Form Fist hid far away and shouted, "If you don't come out, you'll be stomped into meat paste together with Monkey King. Don't blame me for not reminding you." Chan Xuanzang looked at the sole of his foot, which was bigger than the lotus pond. He measured the distance between him and Monkey King and said to Monkey King, "Mr. Sun, I'll go to the side first. I won't disturb you any more." "Monkey King," said Sai, "don't go. Miss Duan." Miss Duan had already appeared on the cliff. She looked at Monkey King from afar and said, "Mr. Sun, don't worry about us." She even made a hand gesture to cheer him on. Monkey King turned back and saw that Mr. Emptiness had already run far away. The 4 aunties beside him looked at Monkey King and coughed. "Teacher Sun, I believe in you." Wukong looked at the crippled leg, speechlessly, and laughed crazily. The huge foot that supported the sky lifted from afar and stepped towards it. The strong wind that surged towards the lotus pond caused countless lotus leaves to fly up. Wukong faced the huge foot and got closer and closer. He sighed and said, "Back then, when the Grand Pure One transformed into Nuwa, he killed a huge turtle in the North Ocean. His 4 legs supported the 4 poles and were the pillars of heaven. Back then, when I captured the 6 monster kings of the demon race, the great rock flew for 3 days and 3 nights and still couldn't escape from my palm." Monkey King raised his hand and grabbed at the gigantic heaven-crippling divine art in the sky. "When I exhale, it becomes the monsoon. When I open my mouth, it thinks that it is the South Sea's bottomless ruins." Heaven-crippling divine art suddenly realized that the figure of Monkey King standing on the rock suddenly became infinitely bigger in front of him. That hand also became bigger and bigger, as if it could contain a mountain. His gigantic, heaven-crippling divine art was eventually smaller than the size of Monkey King's pinky finger. His entire body fell into that mountain-like hand uncontrollably. However, in the eyes of the others, heaven-crippling divine art was becoming smaller and smaller as it fell into Monkey King's palm. In the end, Monkey King just squeezed it. Smack! "Who gave you the courage to play the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth in front of me?" Monkey King swung his hand casually to get rid of the blurry blood stain on his palm. It was as if he was swatting a fly. He used his finger to wipe the last bit of blood from his palm. Attention Lamakes, 666. Chapter 981, where the samsara travelers were, everyone was dumbfounded. Rameau Khan quietly pulled on Zhuang Baifin's sleeve and cried out involuntarily, "Did I see it wrong? This Monkey King seems to be a little too strong." Zhuang Baifin stared at the Monkey King, who was sitting on a rock by the lotus pond and washing his hands with his head lowered. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's not just too strong. I even suspect that it is still sealed." "It shouldn't be," Rameau Khan said hesitantly. The mysterious magician also seemed a little moved. He stood up and said in a deep voice, "It seems that we have encountered the situation that I don't want to see the most. The plot seems to have changed. Fortunately, we dared to come here to dig out the hidden plot and even tried to attack the Monkey King, so we should be mentally prepared. If we touch the hidden clues in the plot, it is very likely to cause the plot to go berserk. Just like the time when the madwoman, white hair, and the Qilin revered martial artist Lu Li were in the Tang Dynasty. I don't know how many people have tried to repeat that miracle, but the Lord God acknowledged that there was only one Holy Grail war caused by the samsara travelers in the world without a source. According to the information I obtained from some channels, the plot change in the Tang Dynasty occurred in ancient times. It was a strange meteorite shot down by Nuwa from outer space. It contained all the essence of the first alien battle scientist, the primordial demon. It was guarded and sealed by Guang Chengzi until Yang Guangxuan found the primordial demon stone that was taken away from the war god temple. The plot of the legend of the Son of Heaven overlapped with the Tang Dynasty. That was when the alien scientist, the primordial demon, combined with the Holy Grail manufacturing technology, started the war of He Shur Bai and collected the energy of the spaceship. So, the War God Temple is actually something left by Nuwa and the other gods to select the warriors who will fight against the primordial demon in the future? It was the first time Abe no Saimai heard the secret, and he couldn't help but be a little lost in thought. After the analysis of our team's wise men, we have guessed a possible reason. The magician said slowly, "The Heavenly Armament series, the Son of Heaven series, and the Heavenly Armament Son of Heaven series are all produced by the Jade Dynasty. Although Twin of Tang is a wuxia series, it should have the same worldview as Broken the Void and Sun and Moon in the Sky. However, few people know that the Jade Dynasty also has their own version of Twin of Tang. This is the Jade Dynasty's version of the Tang Dynasty. So, the comic version of the Tang Dynasty has the same worldview as the Heavenly Armament series and the Son of series." "Yes." The magician smiled. The world that Lu Li and Fu Hongyan were in was probably the world of the Tang Dynasty, which was a combination of the manga and the novel. That was why there was a hidden character, the primordial demon, and the possibility of the Son of Heaven 4. Similarly, Journey to the West Conquering the Demons was a fusion of the movie and the original novel. That's why in the Demon Subduing Manual, the fish demon and pig demon that were originally formed from the evil aura of mortals somehow gained the identities of Canopy Marshal and Curtain Lifting General in the Demon Subduing Manual. That's why the fish demon and pig demon in Demon Conqueror have the identities of the Canopy Marshal and Curtain Lifting General in Demon Conqueror. According to our speculations, only by unearthing the original plot of Journey to the West and Journey to the West, giving the fish demon and pig demon an identity, and unraveling the mystery of their identities, can we smoothly advance to the second plot. Zhuang Baifin suddenly opened his eyes and said, "So the correct way to start the second part is to complete the hidden plot of the fish demon and pig demon. This time, I accidentally obtained the key item to start the real and fake Monkey King from Released Disaster in Westward Journey." Zhuang Baifin suddenly interrupted him. "But the correct way is to complete the hidden plot of the fish demon and pig demon and push the main storyline to the second part. Then, when the White Bone Demon story happens, we can use the demon revealing mirror to separate the Monkey King into good and evil. At that time, we won't need our artifact. The demonic nature suppressed by the golden circlet can be easily split by the demon revealing mirror. You've always said that Monkey King's transformation from evil to good and his demonic nature into divinity is the key to start the second part. But I didn't believe it from the start. The key item to suppress the demonic nature of the Monkey King and turn him into good has always been very obvious." Ramo Khan inhaled sharply. "Amorphous flying hoop. No, it's the golden circlet. Space God Realm Masters are indeed not to be trifled with." Magician smiled and didn't admit it. At that time, under Buddha's restriction, the demonic nature of the Monkey King would be weakened to its weakest. Conquering him would be a piece of cake. Most people wouldn't choose to split the Monkey King into two minds when he breaks out of the seal after 500 years, when his demonic nature is at its strongest, because at that time, the demonic nature of the Monkey King is too strong. The split is actually a demonic clone. At that time, he wouldn't be the six-eared macaque anymore. Magician clapped. "That's right. We're not going to kill the six-eared macaque. We're going to kill the Monkey King. So the plot changes should be within your expectations. But I can't think of anything. What trump card do you have to kill the Monkey King?" Zhuang Baifin said solemnly, "You lured the 3 exorcists to meet the Monkey King. You can't kill the Monkey King because he's going to the West to obtain Buddhist scriptures. You don't want to kill the six-eared macaque. You want to kill the Monkey King. Kill the main character. You want to weaken the main character's aura first." Zhuang Baifin mumbled. "In the realm, the main character is known to be the hardest to defeat. Because they're tied to the plot's fate, they're extremely difficult to kill, other than using absolute strength to crush them. Any battle that's evenly matched has countless difficulties and obstacles. In the realm, There are definitely more than one or two strong people who fell into this trap. Later, someone came up with a method to weaken the main character's aura. In short, it's to magnify the main character's weakness or use his own flaws. For example, to kill the main character of the divine weapon, Nangongwen Tian, you have to let him have a smooth sailing life, become rich and powerful, and trigger the curse of the owner of Sky Crystal. To kill the wind and cloud, you have to drive a wedge between the brothers, making them commit the most intolerable crime. Only when the life of wind and cloud are separated or even fight each other will there be a chance of defeating the main character. To kill the Monkey King, it's impossible for anyone to kill the Monkey King. Zhuang Baifin shook his head. Rulai would never allow you to kill the Monkey King. Damn, if I knew you guys were so crazy that you dared to attack the Monkey King, I wouldn't have joined in. I wouldn't have participated in this. The one to kill can only be the six-eared macaque, not the Monkey King. Stone Monkey, Monkey King, Monkey King, Monkey King Walker, Victorious Fighting Buddha. Magician smiled. These titles of the Monkey King actually represent his past. If we wait until Chen Xuanzang subdues the Monkey King with Rulai's palm, then the Monkey King will disappear. What else can we kill? At that time, the Monkey King will no longer be the Monkey King. Therefore, we can only sever the demonic nature of the Monkey King when the Monkey King breaks out of the seal. When the Monkey King is still the Monkey King, not Walker's son, and not the eldest senior brother. The background of the westward journey is a world where demons and devils roam the human world. It's an absurd and chaotic world. No matter how many people the Monkey King kills, it won't stop him from achieving enlightenment. Therefore, if we want to eliminate the Monkey King's luck, we can only... Zhuang Baifin lowered his head and analyzed. Qin Xuanzang? That's impossible. He's just a chess piece from the beginning. Sun Wukong killed his Miss Duan, so what can he do? In the Demon Subduing Manual, he's gone crazy. He wants to force Sun Wukong to attack him and then kill him. Where can we start? Zhuang Baifin was puzzled. I remember that in the Demon Subduing Manual of the Westward Journey, the Master and his disciples didn't get over it. They seemed to be getting along well, but they actually wanted to kill each other and torture each other. But no one can go against Rulai's will. Rulai. Only by attacking Rulai can we kill the Monkey King. Zhuang Baifin came up with a conclusion that even he didn't believe. The reason why he didn't believe it was because it was impossible. The samsara travelers always attacked their target's weakness or found the plot's weakest point to break the game. And Rulai was the plot's strongest point. No one could guarantee that they could make use of him. He was an endless variable. Who would dare to use him as the key to breaking the game? Wise people only dared to weaken and avoid such variables. Since when did they dare to attack from here? When Magician heard Zhuang Baifin's analysis, he raised his head in surprise. There was a trace of surprise in his eyes. Zhuang Baifin's sharp senses caught it, and he exclaimed, "It really is Buddha!" Magician smiled and didn't explain. Instead, he looked at the Monkey King sitting on the Lotus Pond's rock and said, "It's almost time for us to appear." "If you don't explain, who would dare to appear with you?" Rameau Khan said angrily. "Aren't they afraid of being sold by you?" Chapter 982. Just as the reincarnators were in a stalemate, Magician's expression suddenly changed. The others also looked not far away. There, for aunties were carrying a small palanquin. Mr. Emptiness was sitting on it, his fist supporting his philtrum. He coughed lightly a few times before raising his head. He saw that everyone in the old temple was looking at him. He asked in surprise, "So it's you guys. Why aren't you exorcising demons? Why are you here in the wilderness in the middle of the night?" Zhuang Baifin immediately came back to his senses. They had been standing here for too long. Even though they used tools to conceal their presence, their location was still exposed and attracted Mr. Emptiness. He glanced around and realized that everyone who had retreated to the top of the stone mountain was paying attention to them. Even the Monkey King was looking in their direction. He immediately put on 120% of his acting skills and said coldly, "Mr. Emptiness, we are here to do what you are doing. Don't think that you are the only ones who can fight for the title of the #1 exorcist. We haven't agreed yet." The other reincarnators also came back to their senses and shouted, "That's right. You actually came here to look for the Monkey King behind our backs. Let me tell you, the person who can kill the Monkey King must be me. I will definitely be the #1 exorcist." This time, it was Mr. Emptiness's turn to be surprised. "Didn't you see it just now?" He pointed at the Monkey King's position. Such a huge, heavenly cripple leg was destroyed. It is so cruel and inhumane. The Demon King, you can't afford to offend it. Listen to me and go home. If it gets angry, it will be useless even if you call for your mother. Before he finished speaking, the Monkey King's voice came from the lotus pond. "The half-cripple up there, I can hear what you are saying. Don't force me to beat you up." Mr. Emptiness quickly shut his mouth and mouthed, "Did you see it? It is very cruel." Magician smiled and asked, "If it is so dangerous, why are you still here?" "I want to appease it in case someone breaks the seal," Mr. Emptiness said seriously. Mr. Emptiness said sternly, "As you can see, if it escapes, it will be very dangerous and cruel. The land of the Tang Empire will be bathed in blood, and we exorcists will face a great calamity. I already said that I can hear you. Give me some face and lower your voice. I can pretend that I can't hear you." Monkey King's voice sounded again. Chun Xuanzang shouted from behind, "Mr. Emptiness, who are they? Do you want us to go and help?" Miss Duan also chimed in. "Could it be that the mysterious exorcists are hiding there? I've already said that they don't have good intentions. Mr. Chen!" Magician shouted at Chun Xuanzang. "You've misunderstood. He simply walked out of the old temple and left the barrier, exposing himself to everyone's eyes." The other reincarnators pondered for a moment and followed him. Chun Xuanzang was startled when he saw several people walking out of the old temple. Magician explained, "Actually, we came from afar to pursue the idea of peaceful coexistence between humans and demons. We want to dispel the evil in the hearts of demons and awaken them. As we are not understood by humans, we have always concealed our identities. We are not known by the exorcists. Today, we are here to put our ideals into practice. We want to dispel the evil in the King of Demons, the Monkey King, the Monkey King." Chun Xuanzang became excited when he heard their ideals. Miss Duan kept reminding him they are strange. Don't trust them easily. Chun Xuanzang said seriously, "It turns out that there are good people among the exorcists. They hope to enlighten those pitiful people. Their ideals are not understood by people like you who only want to kill demons. That's why they concealed their identities." "Why is it strange?" he asked Miss Duan. "Is it only by killing demons and devils that it's not strange? Reciting 300 nursery rhymes to awaken the good in the hearts of demons is strange, right? That's why I'm also strange. I can't trust them easily." "I trust you," Miss Duan explained anxiously. "I always felt that you are brave, but you still look down on my ideals." Chun Xuanzang said, "You also look down on their ideals. Evil." Monkey King scratched his ears and cheeks. I don't have evil. Look at me. I'm calm and energetic. I'm also proficient in the Sanzang Sutra. I'm also a high-level Buddhist scholar. I've sat on the lotus seat under the Amitabha Buddha and learned Dharma. I'm a Buddha-like demon. Then, Mr. Sun, do you mind if we look into your heart to find out where the evil is?" Magician asked. "Sure." Monkey King raised his head. "Anything is fine. It's fine. Come, come, come. Let me show you what I, old Sun, am like. I have no worries, and I am pure and quiet. I am truly a simple, kind-hearted, and content with the status quo, an honest monster." Goku seemed to have forgotten who had just killed Tianjanjia with one hand and solemnly vowed, Ever since I came to this Five Fingers Mountain, I have been devoutly learning and have not even killed a fly. When a mosquito landed on me, I just flicked my clothes and drove it away. Qian Xuanzang pulled on Monkey King's sleeve and pointed at the bloodstain on Lianhua. Mr. Sun, look. The blood on that exorcist Tian Zhujiao hasn't dried yet. Are you going to clean him up? Goku turned around and looked into Qian Xuanzang's eyes, threatening him. Magician first came to the rock where Qian Xuanzang was. He said to Qian Xuanzang, "We believe that every demon still retains their human nature. There is a reason for them to become demons. Only by finding the reason can we resolve their demonic nature and free them. For this reason, we came up with a method called case reenactment. We can return them to the state they were in before they became demons. We can help them understand themselves and resolve their evil nature. I'm a magician. I'm an exorcist who focuses on returning demons to their human nature." Magician extended his hand to Qian Xuanzang. Qian Xuanzang shook Magician's hand and said sincerely, "I'm Qian Xuanzang, a disciple of the Mahayana realm. I have the same ideals as Mr. Magician. However, the world doesn't understand me. Magician is my nickname. You can just call me Magician." Magician pretended to be moved. "Mr. Chen's difficulties are also our difficulties. The world doesn't know that it's because of their misunderstanding and stubbornness that there are so many demons in the world. As long as this stubbornness and misunderstanding exists, demons will continue to be born. Exorcising demons can't save the world. Only by letting them understand love and awakening the beauty in their hearts can we create a world where everyone understands each other. Only then can demons be completely eradicated." Qian Xuanzang felt that everything Magician said had hit the nail on the head. At this time, Monkey King said to Zhuang Baifeng, "So it's you? 2 days ago, you came to me with 2 caddies of oranges to ask me to exorcise demons? You still have the face to come back? I've only eaten 2 oranges. You can have the rest." He took out a package and threw it to Zhuang Baifeng. "Master Magician, can you tell me about the case reenactment spell you created?" Qian Xuanzang asked curiously. "Let's take the pig demon, for example." Magician sat up straight and pointed to the moon. The pig demon was harmed by his wife and adulterer. The accumulated hatred turned him into a demon. If we want him to regain his humanity, we have to let him go back to the past. He has to understand those feelings, understand them and transcend them. I know that he still loves his wife. It's because of unwillingness, hatred, jealousy, and anger. Because of his love, he hates them. That's why he became a demon. Only by letting him see through those feelings and learn to forgive can he let go of others and himself. Now, we need to lure him here and use this demon-revealing mirror to seal his demonic nature. We will cast an illusion spell to make him remember the past. We will enter the illusion and accompany him to reminisce about the past. Magician took out a simple bronze mirror and pointed it at Qian Xuanzang. "This method sounds reasonable. It's much better than using 300 nursery rhymes to stimulate kindness." Qian Xuanzang exclaimed. "Wait." He ran back to Miss Duan and said, "Take out the seal on the fish demon. Let me borrow it." Miss Duan didn't ask anything else. She took out the sealed doll and placed it in Qian Xuanzang's hand. She looked at him and said, "Be careful." Qian Xuanzang took the doll and walked to Magician without a word. He didn't turn back. He took the doll and sat beside Magician and Monkey King. "This fish demon has a kind nature. Because it saved a child, the villagers mistook it for a human trafficker and beat it to death. That's why its hatred couldn't be quelled, and it became a demon. Master Magician, can you reenact the case and go back to before it became a demon to resolve its hatred?" Magician sighed inwardly. Finally, he said to the others in the team channel, "Do you guys want to join Xiao Wujing's background side mission? There should be clues about how the fish demon became the curtain-lifting general in this mission. Only idiots wouldn't take advantage of this. Ramal Khan said. Count me in. Zhuang Baifin sneered. I want to see what you're up to. Abe no Harawaki smiled. We're a team. Of course we have to work together. The Nordic man and Hans looked at each other and joined in. Magician took out the demon-revealing mirror and said to the others, Please lend me a hand. He took the demon-revealing mirror and shone it at the fish demon doll. The demon-revealing mirror revealed the ferocious body of the fish demon. Abe no Saimai chanted a few incantations in a low voice, and a mirror light floated from the back of his head. It was the Yada Kagami. With the cooperation of the two, the fish demon was enveloped in a dreamlike circle of light. Magician gestured to Qin Xuanzang and said, Venerable Master, would you like to follow me to see the dream of the fish demon? Qin Xuanzang quickly bowed and said, Sorry to disturb you. Before he entered, he heard Monkey King say, It seems interesting. Little monk, let's go in together. After saying that, Qin Xuanzang felt someone pushing him. He couldn't help but fall into the circle of light with Monkey King. Magician didn't expect Monkey King to suddenly intervene. He was stunned for a moment and suddenly smiled. All right. Chapter 983. In the haze, Qin Xuanzang saw a water village that was half built on the water and half on the hills on both sides of the river. He was stunned for a moment and asked doubtfully, Aren't we going to meet the fish demon's previous incarnation? Why is it here? The surrounding fishermen were tidying up their nets and packing up their belongings in preparation for the fishing trip. At this moment, Qin Xuanzang turned around thoughtfully and saw the little girl who died in front of him, Changsheng, standing timidly by the river. Looking at the flowing river, Qin Xuanzang seemed to be in a daze. He hurriedly ran over and shouted, Hey, don't go near the water. At this moment, the little girl, Changsheng, seemed to be frightened. She turned around in a panic, but she accidentally slipped and fell into the water. Qin Xuanzang did not have time to think and plunged into the river. He saw Changsheng choking on the water, her head weakly reaching out to the river surface, struggling. Relying on his excellent swimming skills, Qin Xuanzang swam to her side and strangled her neck from behind to lift her head out of the water. Then he carried her and swam to the shore. When he carried Changsheng to the shore, he found that the little girl was already on the verge of death. He quickly floated her up and said in panic, Is this how you should do when you're drowning? Master, you didn't teach me this. In a moment of desperation, Qin Xuanzang grabbed the little girl's feet and made her stand upside down. He shook her head as if he could pour the water out by doing so. Qin Xuanzang shook her head twice, and the little girl he was holding coughed out a turbid stream. Her breathing slowly stabilized, but at this moment the fisherman at the side saw them and hurriedly shouted, Changsheng, Changsheng! Changsheng's father! Someone is kidnapping the child. Come and chase the child. At this moment, Qin Xuanzang realized that the little girl in his hand, Changsheng, was a little young. She was about 2 or 3 years old. He immediately reacted and thought to himself, No way! I've become a fish demon. Why am I the fish demon? You've got the wrong person. Before he could protest, he saw the villagers swarming over from all directions. The one in the lead was a burly fisherman with strong arms. Qin Xuanzang thought that he could probably kill 2 good-for-nothings like him with one punch. He immediately covered his head and scurried away. You've misunderstood. Listen to me. Ayani, don't hit my face. You really misunderstood. I'm going down to save people, not to kidnap children. You don't abduct children? An extremely ugly auntie pointed at his nose and said, I clearly saw you carrying Changsheng upside down and swinging her around. Who else could it be if not you? Say no more. The other old woman was furious. She pointed at Qin Xuanzang and said, word by word, Beat him to death! Qin Xuanzang saw the killing intent of the villagers and quickly shouted, Don't come over! Be careful, my fists and feet have no eyes. Fortunately, In order to become a qualified exorcist, I have learned some martial arts. Although I can't deal with monsters, it's not a problem for me to escape from a group of villagers. Sigh. He couldn't explain so much now. I'll explain the misunderstanding to the villagers in the future. Qin Xuanzang thought to himself as he assumed a posture of a white crane drying its wings. At this time, a thunderous roar came from the villagers. How dare you! How dare you kidnap children in our village? Two bare-chested men rushed out from behind. Their bulging muscles were as big as steamed buns. One of them casually executed the tiger and crane double forms, causing a strong wind to blow between his fists and feet. The other man's feet were in an awkward position, as if he was dragging mud and water, but his hands were like two doors. When he punched, the shadows left behind afterimages. Do you know our village's martial arts? It's known as the Southern Fist Heirloom, the imperial city of Southern Fist. The two Chinese characters furrowed their brows and shouted, "Tiger and crane double forms! Hong Qiguan! Wing Chun wishful thought! Yi Wen!" The rest of the Chinese characters also assumed a posture. One of them kicked 7 times in the air, creating afterimages like a fan. Imperial City's shadowless kick, Huang Hui Hong. The other person shouted repeatedly like thunder, "Kai Lifo, Qin Xiang." There were also 2 young men with exquisite martial arts that were not inferior to the burly men. They introduced themselves and said, "Yan Qin Fist, Hua Yuan Bing. Hong Fist, Fang Shiyu." Our village is known as the Southern Fist 100 Clans. I want to see who has the guts to behave atrociously in our imperial city of Southern Fist. Qin Xuanzang was dumbfounded. His mouth unconsciously opened wide as he murmured, "So, how did you end up being bullied by a fish demon? If you had done this earlier, 10 fish demons would have been killed by you." Qin Xuanzang quickly retracted his fists and legs and begged, "Everyone here is a reasonable person. Please listen to my explanation. There is indeed a misunderstanding. I saw the little girl fall into the water, so I went down to save her. Let's be reasonable. Don't use blades and swords, okay?" There were a few men who were wielding green steel swords and practicing the Mo clan's sword techniques. The burly man wielding the 5-pointed plum blossom rod, the girl with a horse-chopping knife, the old teacher with an iron ruler, and the cripple with an iron crutch looked at each other and put down their weapons. Qin Xuanzang heaved a sigh of relief. Then he heard the old teacher with the iron ruler say in a loud voice, "Using weapons to chop him to death is too easy for this human trafficker. Everyone, use your fists to beat him to death." Qin Xuanzang finally understood why the fish demon's resentment was so great that it could turn into a demon. He was stunned for a while. Then he could only let these people swarm him and beat him to the ground. "Ada." Qin Xuanzang spat out a mouthful of blood after a 1-inch punch landed on his body. He could clearly hear the sound of his ribs breaking. Then a flying kick sent him flying into the wall. The flood fist with iron rings pierced through his head. It was a very painful feeling. The bald man who was using the mighty King Kong finger pinched his limbs bit by bit. "Wait." Qin Xuanzang raised his head and looked at the dark-skinned bald man who was using the mighty King Kong finger. He held back a mouthful of blood and said, "You must be joking." "This isn't Shaolin Temple." The bald man was stunned. "Shaolin Temple, please head north." "Oh." The bald man suddenly realized and said, "Then I hit the wrong person. Thank you." "No need to thank me," Qin Xuanzang said calmly. He saw the old teacher with the iron ruler swing his hand and the iron ruler hit his face. Then Qin Xuanzang fell into endless darkness. He felt as if his body was floating on water, enduring the biting of fish, prawns, and beasts. Qin Xuanzang slowly opened his eyes and saw a handsome, naked young man sitting there, looking at him quietly. Qin Xuanzang recognized him. It was the fish demon that he had subdued. The fish demon looked at him quietly. Qian Xuanzang sat up from the ground and opened the stall beside him. He took out the calabash and spun it a few times, singing the nursery rhyme to him. Only after experiencing pain can I know the true pain of all living beings. Only after experiencing everything you have can I understand everything about you. But I know that there is still love in this world. I think now I should be qualified to give you a word of advice. Let it go. 2 lines of tears flowed down from the fish demon's eyes. Chun Xuanzang sighed and said, "Good karma, bad karma, bad karma. Evil spawn all belong to me." Chapter 984. Qian Xuanzang faintly opened his eyes, and the first thing that came into view was Wukong's hairy face and Thunder God's mouth. Such a big face filled his line of sight, causing Qian Xuanzang, who had just woken up, to jump in fright. He retreated repeatedly and staggered to the back. Hiding beside a rock, he said to Wukong, "Mr. Sun, when did you wake up?" The Monkey King sat up and said, "I didn't sleep. Let me ask you, did you change that fish demon?" I had a good talk with him, and he realized his mistake. He decided to change and become a new person. Qian Xuanzang sighed. At this moment, he realized that Magician and the others had appeared behind him, but their expressions were a little strange. Magician stared with his bruised eyes and said to Qian Xuanzang, "It seems like reenactment is very helpful in exorcising demons. You are also suitable to learn from me how to awaken the demon's humanity. However, you decide how to deal with this fish demon." Qian Xuanzang took out the fish demon doll and said, "He decided to follow me and learn Dharma cultivation from me to redeem his sins. Therefore, I decided to accept him as my disciple. From now on, he will be my disciple. His Dharma name is Wu Jing." The Monkey King smiled and said, "This fish demon is easy to deal with. He is kind in nature, and as long as his demonic nature is temporarily sealed, someone will understand and feel his pain. It won't be hard to resolve his grievances. However, that Zhu Ganglai is different. He is actually lustful, and he was harmed by his wife and her adulterer. I'm afraid that a simple sentence of empathy won't be able to resolve his grievances." Qian Xuanzang looked at the Monkey King and was stunned. He stammered, "Mr. Sun knows about these things. Why can't I know?" Goku turned around and looked at him in surprise. He pointed at himself and said, "Do I look very ignorant and stupid? Let me tell you, in terms of Dharma, you are still far from it. It seems like Mr. Sun's devilish nature is truly too deep. It's not something that ordinary Buddhist techniques can resolve." Qian Xuanzang sighed. Magician nodded. "Moreover, the Monkey King is different from the other 2 demons. Their hatred is born from love, from injustice. Their demonic nature is born from human nature. However, Mr. Sun is a natural saint. His demonic nature is ingrained deep in his heart." He whispered into Qian Xuanzang's ears, "The Monkey King isn't a human that transformed into a demon. He might be a natural demon that lacks humanity and is extremely dangerous." Qian Xuanzang whispered to him, "Then what should we do?" "Our goal in exorcism is to awaken the truth, kindness, and beauty in a demon's heart. When encountering a demon that has no humanity at all, there will naturally be no truth, kindness, or beauty in his heart. At this time, we must let him feel humanity. He must first become a human, and then we can eradicate his demonic nature." Magician whispered, "The Monkey King is indeed the king of demons. Just now, when you entered the heart of the fish demon and felt his pain, I wasn't the one controlling it. It was the Monkey King. Just now, I entered the memories of the curtain-lifting general of the heavenly court. I dreamt that the curtain-lifting general met him and wreaked havoc in the heavenly court. He was beaten up badly. Did you see my eyes?" Magician pointed at his bruised eyes. The Monkey King in the dream was too powerful, too terrifying. In its eyes, this little trick of ours is just SOSO. To reform this demon, we need you, Qian Xuanzang, to sacrifice yourself for all living beings. Me. Chen Xuanzang pointed at his own nose. Magician nodded and patted his shoulder. That's right, it's you. Chen Xuanzang turned around and saw the Monkey King smiling. Young man, you are still lacking a little. He twirled his fingers. Just a little bit more. This familiar sentence reminded him of his master. He thought he was seeing things and shook his head. The Monkey King's figure slowly became clearer. Monkey King's expression changed instantly. He sneered. I'm joking. You are still far from it. As a Mahayana disciple, there is still an obstacle in your heart, the love between a man and a woman. So, you are still not the one to go for the scriptures. Only when the person who beat your woman into ashes puts your ring on him will you become the one to go for the scriptures. Mr. Sun, what are you talking about? I don't quite understand. Chen Xuanzang was confused, but the reincarnators at the side widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. The Monkey King sat down and explained. Actually, it's like this. In your previous life, you were the second disciple of the Buddha, Golden Cicada. Because you slept during the Dharma assembly, you were banished to the human world by the Buddha. You are destined to go to the West to obtain scriptures and achieve great things. Only then will the Buddha be able to bring you back to sit on the lotus throne. Chen Xuanzang interrupted. Mr. Sun, please behave yourself. The word bring is very inappropriate. These are all minor details, don't mind them. The Monkey King waved his hand. Back then, I fought against the heavenly court, punched the old man Li Jing, and kicked the little brat Neza. How awe-inspiring! When the Buddha was mediating, he saw that I was talented and had the intention of hiring me to his Western spiritual mountain group. But he had a condition. He wanted me to accompany his second disciple, Golden Cicada, to Spiritual Mountain as a temporary worker. He would only give me a permanent position when I returned. But who am I? The Monkey King is a transcendent of the heavenly courts. If you ask me to be a temporary worker, should I obediently be a temporary worker and be the scapegoat? Between talents and employers, there is a two-way choice, right? I can't say that I will go to obtain the scriptures just because you asked me to. I have my freedom, just like you. You have someone you like in your heart. If the Buddha wants you to obtain the scriptures, shouldn't you consider it? The Monkey King gestured and said, It's so tiring to obtain the scriptures. Moreover, it doesn't contribute much to the living beings of the three realms. It's just a superficial project, right? However, the Buddhist style is very violent. I said that I wanted to consider it, so he arranged for me to be here. In my opinion, this kind of violent paternalistic style is a manifestation of the rigid bureaucracy of the spiritual mountain. The Buddha should reflect on himself and realize his mistakes towards the three realms and all living beings. However, my words carry no weight. Now you've finally come to me, and I have already become a kind and amiable monkey. I have no desires, right? As for you, you have a love between a man and a woman that you are worried about. Therefore, the great undertaking of obtaining the scriptures is a problem. May I ask, how are we going to form a team to obtain the scriptures? The Monkey King asked. Wretched woman, Shuang Baifin interrupted. Bingo! The Monkey King snapped his fingers. We're back to the old routine. When a hero is destined to achieve great things, how should he welcome the turning point of his fate? Wretched woman, Ramelkhan said. When a love story comes to an end, how should he reap his own ending? The Monkey King asked again. Abe no Saimai answered, Wretched woman. When an obstinate and stubborn disciple who is just a step away from becoming a Mahayana disciple, how can he comprehend the true meaning of Buddhism and be bestowed with great responsibility? The magician sighed. Wretched woman, therefore everyone can see it. But now that things have developed to this stage, Miss Duan, her fate is self-evident. At this time, the best outcome would be for me to kill Miss Duan and you to subdue me, right? The Monkey King asked the reincarnators. The reincarnators were speechless. You've already said everything. What else can we say? No, you've already spoiled the entire plot. Then how should things develop? The reincarnators were going crazy. The problem now is, the Monkey King put his palms together. I've already seen through Rulai's plan. How can we go to the west to obtain the scriptures? Chen Xuanzang was confused. Mr. Sun, I'm a little confused. Why do we have to go to the west to obtain the scriptures? That's a project that Mount Numinous has been planning for thousands of years. It's Rulai's political work. The Monkey King looked at Chen Xuanzang and said, "Now that you've heard so much, do you feel the slightest bit dissatisfied with Rulai?" Chen Xuanzang shook his head. "I don't know if what you said is true or false. If it's true, then Buddha needs me to make a sacrifice. It must be for the boundless love of the world. I won't be resentful or hateful." Sigh. The Monkey King sighed. What's the use of heaven and earth? What's the use of romance if we can't sleep? What's the use of eating and drinking? What's the use of dust? What's the use of change in all living things? Tao is formed naturally. What's the use of facing the wall? What's the use of shouting if there's no torrent? A big bump on my head. What's the use of giving birth to me? What's the use of destroying me if I can't laugh? My arrogance doesn't diminish. Where does it come from? Living together in the world, singing together, walking the great Tao. Looking at the confused Chen Xuanzang, the Monkey King sighed. One day, you'll understand what I'm saying. Then, sing this song with me again. After saying that, he sat down facing Lianhua and said to Chen Xuanzang, "I'll help you subdue the pig demon. But after subduing the pig demon, it'll be time for you to face your fate." As the Monkey King put on an act, he was cheering for the boundless heavenly venerate in his heart. Finally, he connected to Chenong and said to Chenong, "Master, this Chen Xuanzang is simply a clay puppet. He's a toy that's been tamed by the teachings of Buddhism. I've already said this much. He still looks like he understands. I feel that even if he kills a woman, he might not become a devil." "Master, it's impossible to persuade such an idiot. You should give up on this idea." Chenong said, "Monkey King, you have to continue working hard. I believe you can do it. Make him acknowledge you as his master. I've even thought of his Dharma name. Call him the Three Burials, burying the heavens, burying the earth, burying the common people. That bastard Rulai tricked you into doing manual labor in the search for the scriptures. Now, I'm going to trick his disciple to be your disciple so that he can learn from me. I'll definitely help you vent your anger. If that bastard Rulai still wants to forcefully carry out the great plan of obtaining the scriptures, you can just publicize the Sanzang true scripture. Let's see what else he can do." On the other side, Magician's heart was pounding. He felt that the development of the plot was too strange. Especially the Monkey King, he was too strange. This made him feel uneasy. On the other hand, the cost was too high. It had reached a point where he couldn't afford to lose. He could only brace himself and continue speaking to Chen Xuanzang. "Venerable Xuanzang, with the promise of the Monkey King, subduing the pig demon isn't a problem anymore. If you want to subdue the pig demon, you have to lure it over. You should already know that the pig demon is still deeply in love with his wife, Gao Zuilan. I'll tell you their story now. When we lure the pig demon over, I'll use the demon-revealing mirror to seal his devilish nature. You'll enter his dream and take the opportunity to enlighten him, allowing him to regain his humanity. I feel that the crux of the matter is the fact that Zhu Ganglai is still deeply in love with Gao Zuilan. Then how should we lure the pig demon over? The pig demon loves to watch his wife dance under the moonlight. He even wrote a poem for his wife. So we need to find a beauty to dance under the moonlight to the tune of the poem. This way, the pig demon will definitely come over. Master Magician, what do you think of me?" Chen Xuanzang took off his clothes and started flirting. Magician clapped. "Not bad, not bad. When Mr. Chen is flirting, there's no need for women. How about this? I'll get someone to dress you up." This time, without the Monkey King interrupting, Miss Duan's scenes were cut. The cross-dresser, Chen Xuanzang, was officially online. Reincarnators were people who had seen the world. They had seen many cross-dressers. Abe found a Thai reincarnator to dress Chen Xuanzang up. At the side, Zhuang Baifan couldn't help but ask Magician, "Isn't this a little inappropriate? Also, what about the curtain-lifting general's origin mission? Why did we only get beaten up by the Monkey King in his memory?" "Don't worry, everything is under control." Magician was still mysterious. Chapter 985. Under the moonlight, Chen Xuanzang was dressed in a white dress, looking exceptionally alluring. He was born with delicate features and with the makeup skills of a reincarnator. He looked even better than Miss Duan. Xuanzang hugged his chest and said helplessly, "Master, I feel that such a technical task should be done by someone else. I feel that Miss Duan is not bad." "Shut up!" Monkey King gestured for them to shut up and said to Magician, "Your suggestion has won my heart. I have been waiting for this day for a long time. This time I volunteered to be the choreographer and composer. Let me tell you, I am not bragging. I have some attainments in dance and music too. How about the stage? We need to insert a steel pipe into the rock. I have a tiger skin skirt that I have carefully kept here. Let him wear it too." Monkey King took out a tiger skin skirt that only reached his thighs and shook it. He said to Miss Duan, "White clothes are outdated. Do you know that it needs to be hot? We need to make the pig's blood boil and arouse its lust." "That's it." Monkey King bared his fangs and made a biting expression. "Tiger skin skirt, right?" Monkey King whispered, "Female demon, spider demon, apricot tree demon, jade rabbit demon, white rat demon, white bone demon, and even the queen of womanland. You really have a wide range of tastes. I will send you to the Buddhist scriptures. There will be many hardships along the way, and there will be all kinds of ferocious and weird demons. You are the only one who is full of love. This time, if I don't make you into a flower, my surname is not Sun." Magician, who overheard the conversation, didn't react. What tiger skin dress? What demoness? When he thought of something, he suddenly felt a deep sense of fear. "I can't help but shiver in fear." Miss Duan found it interesting and said with sympathy, "Mr. Sun, he doesn't seem to know how to dance." Monkey King turned and looked at her. "Do you know how to dance?" "I don't know either." Lady Duan touched her hair and helplessly said, "My family is a martial arts family. Since young, my father has never taught me those feminine tricks. He only taught me martial arts." "Your father loves you very much." Monkey King sighed. "Mr. Sun, why do you say that?" Miss Duan was puzzled. "Where is he? You must grasp your fate in your own hands. Otherwise, you'll end up like him." Monkey King pointed at Chen Xuanzang and said, "Being manipulated by others. But I don't want to practice martial arts, and I don't want to be an exorcist." Miss Duan said helplessly, "My dream is to find an ideal husband, give birth to an adorable child, and live a simple life. Even if I'm being manipulated by others, there's nothing wrong with that." Monkey King shook his head and said, "That's not what I meant by being manipulated by others. You've misunderstood. Being at the mercy of others means that you don't even have the power to realize the simplest and most lowly thought. It means that your every move is like a puppet being manipulated by others. Even your most basic dignity is being trampled on. There are too many things in this world that are beyond our control. That kid wanted to persuade me to let go of my demonic nature. Actually, I don't have any demonic nature. It's all demonic nature that he defined." Monkey King sighed and said, regarding this world, "All of you are still too inexperienced. Have you seen the helplessness of all living beings when they give up on themselves and throw themselves into an illusory dream because of the pain of the world? Have you seen the anger of those who have no control over their lives for the sake of their last dignity? Have you seen the indignant roar of those who have been persecuted and humiliated in this world? At that time, will his Buddha be able to save them? Buddha can't save all living beings. Only living beings can save themselves. When you see these things, will you look up to the heavens and ask him, "What can you do? What did you do? Then, Mr. Sun, what did you do?" Miss Duan was a little dissatisfied. Although she didn't like Chen Xuanzang's pedantic ways, she had to protect the dignity of the person she loved. Monkey King smiled and said, "That's why I never promised anything." After talking about this topic, Monkey King asked Miss Duan, "It's okay if you don't know how to dance. Come, come, come. Let's learn about the puppet talisman." Miss Duan was surprised and asked, "How did you know that I have the obedience talisman? That's a terrible name." Monkey King grabbed the two human-shaped talismans and shook his head. Nowadays, the exorcists are becoming less and less cultured. Back in the day, the exorcists who weren't cultured were all discriminated against. Back then, they were all talents, trained by the professions of Buddhism and Taoism. They could talk about metaphysics and poetry. That was the exorcism era of poetry and swords. Compared to the crude people like you, they were so much more elegant. They could even discuss the oracle bone inscriptions and the Dongsheng divine continent's cultural heritage, the classic of mountains and seas, and the origin of demons. The name Puppet Talisman has the elegance of the 3 generations and the mysteriousness of the 3 emperors. Monkey King waved his hand to summon a few reincarnators and asked, "Which one of you can dance better?" Ramal Khan volunteered. "We Indian men are good at singing and dancing. We are passionate and humorous. Of course, I won't pass on this responsibility. You're from India." Monkey King looked up and down. "Ethnic dance. Please stay away. This time, the style of our choreography is surreal, hot, primitive, and animalistic. I want to bring a bit of the passion of the primitive era and the unrestrained nature of the demons. That's the feeling. It's like a waiting bird. You have to match the pole on the stage and perform the kind of vulgar style." Monkey King said a lot and asked, "Which one of you can do it?" Magician and the rest looked at each other and suddenly pointed at Perfected Hans. Perfected Hans was pointing awkwardly at Abe No Saimai. "Why me?" Perfected Hans was surprised. "I'm a German. I'm strict, old-fashioned, and elegant. It's fine if you want me to be buried in the sewers for the rest of my life. But you want me to dance? Aren't you making things difficult for me?" Abe No Saimai explained, strict. "We might disagree on which of us is more exquisite, but in terms of coquettishness, we Japanese are inferior. I remember that the Germans are the best at extreme dancing," Zhuang Baifeng explained. Magician smiled. "When we Americans are coquettish, the whole world has to kneel. When the Japanese are coquettish, we Americans have to kneel. When the Germans are coquettish, there's nothing else." Perfected Hans was speechless. He could only stick the puppet talisman and guide them on the spot. Finally, the preparations were completed. Under the moonlight, Monkey King stood in front of a drum set. Magician Zhuang Baifeng, Abe No Saimai, and the rest brought electric guitars, bass, and electronic keyboards. They also had top-notch speakers and dance equipment. There was also a burly Viking tuning by the side. Magician sighed, "I didn't expect there to be so many music lovers among us. This is my private collection of top-notch outdoor speakers, coupled with Abe's top-notch Yamaha instruments and Mark's Viking attainments in electronic music. We will definitely be able to perform a top-notch performance." Zhuang Baifeng strummed his electric guitar and picked out a series of intense vibrato, like the devil's teeth. He opened his eyes and his eyes flickered. He turned around and said to Wukong, "Mr. Sun, you can handle the drums, right?" Monkey King sneered. His hand slid out a series of afterimages. An intense jazz drumming instantly caught up with Zhuang Baifeng's rhythm. He also increased the tempo, forcing Zhuang Baifeng to almost break the guitar strings. "You should be worried about the drum set." Abe No Saimai said seriously, "Yamaha quality is trustworthy." Magician said faintly, "The U.S. is the holy land of rock music." Viking Mark said solemnly, "Nordic electronic music is not inferior to humans." Following Zhuang Baifin's spasmodic hand speed, the electric guitar's prelude suddenly sounded, stirring up everyone's emotions. Then, Monkey King's virtuous drumming followed up. The intense drumming and changing rhythm seemed to be a fusion of classical and trendy music. Magician, as the bass player, fully set off this kind of mood. Mark's tuning didn't improve this kind of sound that couldn't be modified anymore, but he cleverly added electronic music elements to the atmosphere, adding a trace of psychedelic feeling. Abe, as the keyboard player, couldn't help but dance. Zhuang Baifin's hoarse voice carried a trace of indistinct sigh. Chun Xuanzang stood on the rock, his clothes half unbuttoned. The tiger-skin short skirt accentuated his pair of slender thighs, making them even more enchanting. One of his legs was crossed on a steel pipe, the other slightly raised. He was like a young married woman with a trace of playfulness. His waist was like a water snake as he swayed along with the music. Beside him, Hans, who was guided by the puppet talisman, vividly displayed the allure and enchanting of the extreme dance. The hoarse voice faintly spread far away. "The past is now the past, never to come again. The red leaves are buried in the dust, the beginning and the end never change you in the sky, drifting beyond the white clouds." Chapter 986. Seeing a wild boar the size of a small mountain appear on the other side of the mountain, Chun Xuanzang hurriedly climbed down from the steel pipe and said to Monkey King and the others, "Master, the pig demon is here. I'll go down first." "Go down?" Monkey King said. "Why should we go down? I have planned the music for the solo dance, and I also know how to dance." "One step away. Let's go," Monkey King said to the rest of the band. Monkey King was the first to let go of the electric guitar and pick up the violin from behind. Magician put down the bass and set up the accordion. Zhuang Baifin, the lead singer, was sitting in front of the Lianhua at the entrance of the cave. He casually played an impromptu prelude on the piano. Mark was still in charge of tuning, while Abe No Simai sat down and started to adjust the cello. Only the dance director, Hans, sighed helplessly. "I haven't danced for a long time." Chan Xuanzang said in horror, "Mr. Sun, the pig demon has been lured here. I don't think they need me anymore. Mr. Sun, please respect your identity. You can't take revenge on them." Goku sighed with emotion. "It's not that easy to make the pig demon immerse itself in the role. You must use the charm of dance and music. Only when you use dance to bring it into that kind of mood can we play a song of love and hate and make the pig demon repent. This is art. How can it be called taking revenge on them?" After saying that, he ignored them and started to use the violin to lead the rhythm. With a soothing melody, Magician's accordion was the first to follow, followed by the cello and piano. They played the famous Spanish tango, One Step Away. Reverend Hanses slowly picked a budding lotus flower beside him and put it in his mouth. One of his hairy legs slid in an elegant arc, and he reached out a hand to slowly touch his face. His expression was full of tension. Under the effect of the puppet talisman, with a lotus flower in his mouth, Chen Xuanzang couldn't help but open his thighs. A slender, white leg stretched out toward the steel pipe. Following Hanses's movement, the tension of his body was fully stretched out, and he sent a tempting invitation to the pig monster. The tango song had reached its climax. It was ready to go. Chan Xuanzang, who was dancing around the pole under the moonlight, was already dancing to his heart's content. It was as if he was making the most passionate invitation to the pig demon at every moment. Zhu Ganglai, who had transformed into a wild boar, stared at the goddess, dancing under the moonlight with his bloodshot eyes. His footsteps couldn't help but start dancing along with the music. His 4 thick hooves suddenly became as graceful as a sprinting horse. Although he had never learned to tango, Zhu Ganglai relied on his superb artistic attainments to learn how to match Chen Xuanzang's dance steps without a teacher. The human and the monster were separated by a certain distance at the beginning, but their dance coordination was flawless, as if they were in love with each other. Although there was a distance between them, it was as if they were sticking to each other's bodies. They had the same tacit understanding. One was a huge beast, one was a solemn and dignified holy monk in female attire. One was a rough and ugly but strong man. One was a handsome but persistent young man. One was a bloodthirsty and tyrannical demon, and one was indeed an exorcist who delivered all living beings from suffering. They combined strength and softness, ugliness and seductiveness, ferocity and peace. All kinds of conflicting temperaments magically merged together, creating artistic sparks. The tension was so realistic that the sensitive tuner, the burly Viking Mark from Northern Europe, shed tears of excitement. The band's performance reached its climax. Looking at the goddess, dancing under the moonlight, Zhu Ganga couldn't help but move closer to her. It seemed as if he wanted to get close to her, but he also wanted to run away from her due to shame. Unexpectedly, he perfectly displayed the ambiguity between lovers in a tango. Chen Xuanzang smelled the stench coming from the ugly face of the pig demon and felt like vomiting. However, his body perfectly displayed the seduction brought by the immortal Hans. This dance, which everyone had their own thoughts, reached the peak of the Tang dynasty under the accompaniment of the two people involved and a group of musicians with artistic pursuits. Miss Duan, who was watching from the side, was dumbfounded and almost petrified. He heard Miss Duan murmur, "My man, why is he more girly than me? He's so outstanding. Am I not good enough for him? Or should I act more manly?" The dance had reached a high level. Now that the two dancers had reached the climax, Zhu Ganglai couldn't bear the surging emotions in his heart anymore and dared to confess to the goddess. According to the script, the goddess should be cold and distant, hurting his heart and bringing the dance to its climax. However, Zhu Ganglai seemed to have lost control of his performance. It stuck out its tongue, which was full of mucus and stench, and licked Chen Xuanzang. Looking at the tongue, which was as thick as a man's waist, reaching towards him, Chen Xuanzang's heart struggled fiercely. Anger, fear, and countless other emotions intertwined. Even the puppet talisman couldn't suppress them anymore. These emotions were expressed on his body, bringing with it an extraordinary tension. In the end, when he still couldn't break free, the sticky feeling stuck to his body and drowned him like a tide of despair. A drop of tear fell from the sky. This time, Zhu Ganglai's loss of control reached another artistic peak because of Chen Xuanzang's performance. After the performance of the bonk dance, it was time for the intermission. The band members, led by Monkey King, stood up and applauded loudly to show their approval and respect for the two dancers. "This is great!" Mark was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. He sobbed, "This is the peak of my artistic career. We should pay our respects to the two dancers and thank them for their great performance." Magician also said excitedly, "In terms of dancing, Chen Xuanzang is qualified to be my mentor." Monkey King said highly, "I have 32 concerts a year. I want to invite you to be my special guests, to be my backup dancers." Zhuang Baifan clenched his fists and said, "Say it out loud. What is your dream?" Miss Duan couldn't help but wipe her eyes and sob, "I don't know why, but I just feel sad." Hans wiped the sweat off his body and pointed at Chen Xuanzang. "This is the dance I want." Then, under Monkey King's suggestion, everyone gave them 2 thumbs up. Magician took out the demon-revealing mirror from his back and said to everyone, "Come, come, come, everyone look here." In the demon-revealing mirror, a group of dancing demons could be seen. Magician then said, 1, 2, 3. Everyone said in unison, "Cheese." The demon-revealing mirror shone brightly, and Chen Xuanzang finally felt the restriction of the puppet talisman on his body loosen. Then he let out an aggrieved cry. His cries fell into the boundless light, and he felt as if the world was spinning. Qian Xuanzang placed his hand on his chest and suddenly arrived at the familiar entrance of the restaurant. He had also returned to his male clothes. In front of him was Miss Duan. Miss Duan was looking at him curiously. She waved her hand in front of him and kept saying, "Hey, hey! Can you hear me?" Qian Xuanzang suddenly shook off her hand and said, "I can hear you. Tell me, what's the matter?" He already knew that he had entered the dream of the pig demon. Miss Duan's smile had a trace of sadness. She lowered her head and didn't speak for a long time. Then she suddenly hugged him. Qian Xuanzang quickly pushed her away. "Please behave yourself, Miss Duan." Unexpectedly, Miss Duan raised her head and said, "What did you just say? Who is Miss Duan? Okay, you have someone else outside, right?" Qian Xuanzang saw that her clenched fist was still as big as a sandbag. He measured the strength of both sides and forced himself to calm down. "Aren't you Miss Duan? Annoying." Miss Duan pushed him away shyly. "When you are with me, call me Tsuelan. When you are not with me, just call me Miss Duan. Just call her Miss Duan. Who knows that Miss Duan? Are you lying to me? Wait." Qian Xuanzang suddenly widened his eyes and exclaimed, "You said your name is Tsuelan?" Miss Duan's expression changed again. "What? You want to pretend that you don't know me? Let me tell you, as long as you are alive, you are my Gao Tsuelan's woman. As long as you are dead, you are my Gao Tsuelan's ghost. Gao Tsuelan." Qian Xuanzang said in horror, "Zhu Ganglai, that Gao Tsuelan?" Miss Duan lowered her head in horror and said, "You already know. Listen to me, I didn't do it willingly. It's all because my father wanted that ugly monster to open a pig farm. My family owns a restaurant, Gaojia Village. The famous Gaojia roasted pig is my family specialty. That damn old man was obsessed with money and insisted that Zhu Ganglai and I were a match made in heaven. He wanted me to marry him. I opposed it. We can elope." Miss Duan's tears almost flowed down. "That Zhu Ganglai is really as ugly as a pig. I don't want to marry him. Take me away." Qian Xuanzang vaguely felt that someone was looking at them from behind. He turned around and saw an ugly young man hiding behind the curtain in panic. His eyes were staring at Miss Duan from behind the curtain. Qian Xuanzang sighed and suddenly raised his middle finger to the sky. "Monkey King, F***CK, the voice of the Monkey King faintly traveled to his ears. Only after experiencing pain will you know the pain of all living beings. Once you have attachment, let go of it. Once you have worries, let go of them. If you want the pig demon to truly understand, you will have to endure the same pain as the pig demon. Once you have experienced pain, loved, and been hurt, engraved in your bones and heart. Only after you have regretted can you be enlightened and let go of the past." The Monkey King first pretended to speak about the life teachings and insights of an eminent monk. Then a burst of laughter rang out. The Monkey King laughed loudly and said, "I am a man of my words. If there is hatred, I will take revenge on the spot." Qian Xuanzang, you chanted the band-tightening incantation 138 times. I will remember every single one of them in my heart. Let me tell you, 138 difficulties. If I don't play with you 138 tricks, my surname is not Sun. What the F***CK are you talking about? Enlightening the devil? Enlightening the Dharma. Your grandpa's son has already told you everything. I just want to play with you. Then the Monkey King smiled evilly and erased Qian Xuanzang's memory of the latter part of his words. I manipulate you. I humiliate you. I toy with you. I torture you. What can you do? You won't even know how angry and unwilling you were. You don't even have the right to retain your memories. How pitiful, how sad. The demonic nature of the Monkey King was revealed. He looked down at the person that he used to call his master. He then thought of his other master and sighed in his heart. Master, you want me to let go of the past, to let go of those distracting thoughts of the victorious fighting Buddha. You want me to become a new monkey and start anew. That's why you brought me here. But isn't that another kind of enlightenment? The Monkey King sighed and said, Isn't that a kind of Monkey King? Chapter 987. Just as Chen Xuanzang was filled with grief and indignation, he saw Gao Tsuelan's expression change. She screamed in fear, Father! Xuanzang hurriedly turned around, not even daring to raise his head. Just as he was about to make his way out, he heard a familiar voice. Tsuelan, what are you still doing here? Tomorrow is your big day. Hurry up and dress up. Tomorrow I will marry you off. Father, Miss Duan couldn't suppress her anxiety. How can it be so fast? If you don't hurry, do you want me to let you do something embarrassing? The man slammed his crutch on the ground and shouted, Go! Xuanzang lowered his head and pretended to be a passerby. He played with a tree branch, playing with the leaves. He felt someone walking in front of him and didn't dare to raise his head. Suddenly he heard someone ask him, Mister, why are you still here? Xuanzang whispered, Oh, I went the wrong way. Then he covered his face and wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, that person pulled him back. Xuanzang looked up helplessly and almost cried out in surprise. In front of him was Magician, who was dressed a little older. He pulled Xuanzang's hand and said, Mr. Qin, we were tricked by Monkey King again. So it really is you. Xuanzang exclaimed, How did you? I'm Gao Tsuelan's father now, Mr. Gao. Mr. Qin, the situation this time is the same as last time. Although I used the demon-revealing mirror to seal the demon pig's demonic nature, causing its original heart to sink into this illusion, Sun Wukong's magic power is very strong. In the end, this environment is still controlled by him. Our fates are all in his hands. Have you heard of a phrase? Role-playing. Magician said, Sun Wukong pulled us into an illusion and replaced many of the original characters here to participate in the pig demon's past. I think he wants to test you. Test me? Xuanzang was confused. Yes, to test your determination and perseverance, to question your conscience and nature, to expose your ugliness and ignorance. This illusion can cause one's consciousness to sink, so why are you awake and still able to retain your memories? Monkey King controls the environment and background, while we are like actors playing the roles. To reform the pig demon, we can't rely on Monkey King. We have to rely on you. Your choice determines the development of this environment. Magician sighed, This is the most vicious part of Monkey King. He changed Gao Tsuelan into Miss Duan to make you feel the pain of pushing the person you love into the fire. If you can't bear it, then you have to kill Zhu Gangchen before Gao Tsuelan and repeat the tragedy. If the pig demon remembers the past in the illusion, its demonic nature will be uncontrollable. Your so-called exorcism to reform human nature will become a joke. Magician said in a low voice, This is a choice that will throw you into the most extreme dilemma. It's a test of whether you will adhere to your ideals or follow your emotions. There's such a test. Qin Xuanzang was speechless. If you want to reform the pig demon, you have to endure the same pain as him. Monkey King's voice drifted into Chen Xuanzang's ears. If you can't even endure his pain, how can you talk about getting him to forgive you? Everyone has the right to choose not to forgive. Everyone has the right to take revenge. It's easy for you to kill the pig demon. It killed so many people. Its soul should be destroyed. But it's not that easy to reform it. Zhu Gangchen calls me boss after all. I can't force him to forgive me, but I promised you that I would give you a chance to reform it. Now is the chance I've created for you. As for how to make the pig demon choose to forgive, it's up to you. The dark clouds in the sky dispersed, revealing the cunning moon. The Monkey King's voice came from there. Chen Xuanzang looked up at the bright moon and said in pain, But why did you drag Miss Duan into this? Monkey King, you can torture me, make me suffer and make me in a dilemma. But why didn't you let the person I love go? How did I offend you? I'm not the one who dragged her into this. It's you. Why would a love make two people suffer? Why would a predestined fate make a completely unrelated person suffer so much? Aren't you the source of all this? Goku said indifferently, from the very beginning, you have been constantly hurting her. Could it be that at that time I was also there? Isn't the real source of all this because you've fallen in love with her? Monkey King's words were deafening. Chun Xuanzang was speechless. Monkey King said coldly, all love will meet, but it's hard to last long. Life is filled with fear and life is at stake. Love gives birth to worry, and love gives birth to fear. If you leave love, there will be no worry or fear. Chun Xuanzang, all this is because of you. You've fallen in love. Xuanzang was a little dazed. Why can't I fall in love? My heart is beating. How can I stop it? You think I'm making things difficult for you? On the contrary, I'm giving you a warning. You think I'm making things difficult for you? Actually, I'm just revealing fate. Monkey King said, all troubles arise from ignorance. There are 8 sufferings in the world. How can it be the creation of fate? This pain comes from human nature. As a human, there are 8 sufferings. There are many causes of ignorance in the world. It's not the fluttering of banners or wind, it's the heart. Monkey King sighed. I've seen 8 words in my master's place, and it can solve your doubts. Xuanzang raised his head. Which 8 words? Everyone is innocent, and all sentient beings are sinners. Xuanzang thought for a long time, and then raised his head. I don't believe it. There must be a way to resolve all the sufferings in the world. Buddhism can deliver all living beings from suffering, and it can eliminate the sufferings of all living beings in this world. There must be a way to redeem and make up for all the tragedies in the world. Buddha can save all living beings, and it's not because he's powerless. Monkey King said indifferently, is that so? Then go and try. Xuanzang said firmly, I can definitely make the pig demon feel at ease, make Miss Duan happy, and prevent this tragedy from happening again. I can definitely enlighten the pig demon and persuade Miss Duan to give up on this relationship. I can definitely let go of my heart. Forget, be relieved, forget each other, and finally meet again with a smile. Monkey King, do you dare to bet with me? Bet on what? Bet that Buddhism can save all living beings and relieve all their sufferings. The moonlight in the sky shimmered, and it was as if Monkey King was smiling. He replied, all right, let's bet this once. Chapter 988. Magician, who was playing the role of Old Man Gao, quietly walked to a secluded corner. Seeing the person standing in the dark, he sighed, why did you come to find me again? The person took a step forward. It was Chun Xuanzang. He said sincerely, I came to beg you. As long as you don't marry your daughter to Zhu Ganglai, I will have a chance to resolve this ill-fated relationship. Magician said helplessly, you have to know that this is just an illusion. It doesn't matter if I marry my daughter to Zhu Ganglai or not. What matters is whether Zhu Ganglai is willing to let go of the past. We are not here to give Miss Duan happiness, but to let go of the hatred in the pig demon's heart. Fine, I can cancel the wedding tomorrow. But if the pig demon is angered by you, then all the work we have done to seal his demonic nature and awaken his human nature will go to waste. I will go back and persuade the pig demon, Chen Xuanzang said firmly. Magician was surprised. How? You have to come up with a reason to persuade him to give up his wife as an adulterer? This is a reenactment of an illusion. Everything that has happened here is not real. Bear with it, it will be over soon. Magician persuaded. It's not a matter of whether I can bear with it or not. But I can't sacrifice other people's happiness just to awaken the pig demon's heart. I don't have the right to make this sacrifice for Miss Duan. If I have to make this choice, Xuanzang looked up and said firmly, I would rather kill it. Magician was speechless. He could only say, then you go and persuade the pig demon. If you can convince it, I will cancel tomorrow's wedding. Xuanzang said in a low voice, it's a deal. Magician looked at him and said meaningfully, "It's a deal." "Then I will go find it now." Xuanzang turned and left. Zhu Ganglai lived in the Zhu clan's pig farm, which wasn't far from the Gao clan village. Perhaps it was because of the illusion, but when Chen Xuanzang wanted to find him, he naturally came to the Zhu clan's pig farm. He recognized Zhu Ganglai from the crowd at a glance because he was really as ugly as a pig. A man as eye-catching as Zhu Ganglai was like a firefly in the dark, no matter where he was. He was so bright and outstanding. His eye-catching ears, his uneven, rotten yellow teeth, his amazing knife skills that cut a pig into 8 pieces on the chopping board, and the melancholy martini all betrayed him. Chen Xuanzang walked in front of the pork stall and picked up the martini. He said, "I've only seen 2 pork men who drink martini. Was it a coincidence? You are one of them." Zhu Gonglia's eyes didn't look at Xuanzang. He focused on his knife and said in a low voice, "This cup is on me." Chen Xuanzang drank it in one gulp and sighed. People are always obsessed with appearances. Just like this martini. Who would have thought that even if it was placed in a pork stall, it wouldn't be stained with any oil? It still maintained a perfect octave and the salt is just right. Paired with the lemon, it's very refreshing. He took a deep breath and said, "The base is gold wine, and the storage time is just right." Some people can be as elegant and clean as ever even if they are standing in front of a pork stall, but some people will be greasy, filthy, and rude even if they are in a banquet. Chen Xuanzang looked at Zhu Ganglai, who had just slaughtered a pig. He was dressed very cleanly, and even his sleeves, which were the easiest to be stained with oil, were very clean. Even though he was standing next to the pork stall, Zhu Ganglai stood out from the rest. His clothes were immaculate, and his hair was neat and tidy. Even the pork that had just been cut into 8 pieces was neat and clean. He did not look like he was slaughtering a pig, but like he was creating a work of art. If it was not because he was so ugly, this man would be an elegant gentleman. "The world is wrong about you," Chen Xuanzang exclaimed. "If you weren't so ugly, you would definitely be a very popular person. That would be too close to them." Zhu Ganglai laughed. "It wouldn't be that nice. Mr. Chen, what brings you here today?" Zhu Ganglai raised his head and asked. Even at this moment, he didn't look at Chen Xuanzang. He seemed to be too shy and always avoided eye contact with others. "You know me?" Chen Xuanzang was a little surprised. Zhu Ganglai nodded. "I've heard of Mr. Chen's name. Then you must know about my relationship with Gao Zuelan." Chen Xuanzang said in surprise, "I came here today to persuade you to give up on this marriage and prevent the tragedy that is about to happen. Gao Zuelan doesn't love you, and her personality is so impulsive. If you two are together..." "Okay." Zhu Ganglai lowered his head and avoided Chen Xuanzang's eyes. He just happened to stare at the knife. "You two won't be happy together." Chen Xuanzang still wanted to persuade him, but he suddenly said in surprise, "Wait, Mr. Zhu, what did you just say?" I said okay. Zhu Ganglai was still as shy as before. Chen Xuanzang saw him, staring at the knife, and said in fear, "Mr. Zhu, don't be impulsive. I actually don't love Gao Zuelan. I'm not doing this for myself. I just want everyone to be happy. I'm not impulsive." Zhu Ganglai said lightly, "Since you said so, I'll give up." After saying that, he picked up the martini that Chen Xuanzang drank in one gulp and walked back. Chen Xuanzang looked at his back and felt that something was wrong. He said in a daze, "That's simple? That's too careless. Mr. Zhu, do you want to reconsider?" "No need," Zhu Ganglai said without turning his head. "Let's just leave it at that." "Thank you." Chen Xuanzang's face was full of confusion, and he subconsciously said to Zhu Gonglia's back. When Chen Xuanzang returned to Gao village, he still hadn't recovered. He couldn't understand. Did I succeed? The cause was very strange, the process was very magical, and the ending was very confusing. He looked around and said in a low voice, "But the pig demon's obsession is still not solved." For some reason, Chen Xuanzang's heart felt heavy. At this time, Miss Duan, No, Gao Tsuelon came out of nowhere with a face full of surprise and jumped into Qin Xuanzang's arms. Qin Xuanzang was flustered. Miss Duan. No, Miss Gao, please behave yourself. Gao Tsuelon smiled shyly. You still say you don't love me. I know everything, I promise you. She turned her head and stomped her feet, showing the attitude of a little girl. Magician, on the other hand, shook his head and sighed. What do you promise me? Chen Xuanzang looked confused. You're still pretending. Miss Gao said shyly and happily, I already know that you went to Zhu Ganglai to break off the engagement. You're so brave. You want to marry her, but you're so bold to go to her fiancé to break off the engagement. Other than I do, I really can't think of anything else to say to you. Miss Gao, listen to me. Chen Xuanzang wanted to speak, but he saw that Gao Tsuelon had already closed her eyes and pouted her lips. Suddenly, a sentence from Miss Duan flashed across his mind. When a girl acts like this, it's to let you kiss her. For some reason, he moved his face closer to Gao Tsuelon. When he felt her breath on his face, Qin Xuanzang instantly woke up and pushed Gao Tsuelon away. He said loudly, But I don't love you. Gao Tsuelon was instantly awakened, and her eyes widened. What did you just say? I don't think I heard it clearly. Chen Xuanzang was confused, and he said loudly, I thank you for liking me, but I don't like you. I broke off the engagement because you don't like Zhu Gang. What did you just say? Miss Duan's figure instantly overlapped with Gao Tsuelon's, and she said tearfully, I said I don't like you. I don't love you. I don't want to marry you either. Qin Xuanzang said loudly, Thank you for liking me, and I also hope that you can be happy. But I have my responsibilities. I'm wholeheartedly focused on saving the world. I hope that everyone can be happy, and I also hope that you can be happy. But my love is for all living beings, and all my feelings are dedicated to all living beings. I don't leave any room for you. I hope that you can be happy because you're also one of the living beings, and I don't want to hurt anyone. You said that you don't love me, then those words? Were you lying to me before? Gao Tsuelon asked in a terrified tone. The previous Qin Xuanzang wasn't me. The previous Chen Xuanzang was only the Chen Xuanzang in your memory. He isn't me, and what he said has nothing to do with me. Chen Xuanzang said coldly. Gao Tsuelon took 2 steps back, but my heart tells me that I like you and you like me. Your heart is deceiving you. Chen Xuanzang said coldly. You like me now, but you can like anyone else in the future. Find someone you like and marry him. Forget about me. Forget about the person who once broke your heart. If you don't love me, then why did you go to Zhu Ganglai to break off the engagement? Gao Tsuelon roared, as if she was making a final, desperate struggle. Chen Xuanzang said, In order to avoid a tragedy, if you don't love him, then don't marry him, lest you and him be hurt. Okay. Gao Tsuelon stopped crying and stood up in a sorry state. She looked into Chen Xuanzang's eyes, which were filled with hatred and love. She closed her eyes with a smile and said loudly, Since I can't marry the person I love, then I can find someone who loves me. Although Zhu Ganglai is ugly, he isn't as disgusting as you. Qin Xuanzang, I, Gao Tsuelon, will sever all ties with you today. You don't have to decide for me. Whatever you say doesn't count. Gao Tsuelon said loudly, Tomorrow the wedding will be held as per normal. After saying that, Gao Tsuelon turned around and left. A few drops of tears fell as she turned around. Qin Xuanzang was dumbfounded. He didn't know why things had developed in such a way. The Monkey King who was in the sky said indifferently, Like I said, I don't need to mess things up. He will mess things up himself. Do you think that his fate is decided by me? Do you think that his tragedy is caused by me? Even without me, everything will still happen. From the moment he fell in love with me, it was already destined. Magician sighed. First, it's best not to see each other. This way they won't fall in love. I once worried that too much love will harm the path of Brahman, and I fear that I will leave the city when I enter the mountains. How can there be a perfect method in this world? Not letting down the Tathagata, not letting you down. The Monkey King sighed. How can a person who is destined to obtain the scriptures obtain a perfect love? The Monkey King turned around and asked, Say, do you think that Miss Duan is the incarnation of Guanyin Bodhisattva? If that's the case, Chen Xuanzang won't have to be sad anymore. Miss Duan's true identity is a man? Magician thought for a moment and nodded. Only then can it be perfect. Chapter 989. Have you decided? Magician, who was playing the role of Mr. Gao, sighed. I have decided. Tears flowed down Gao Tsuelan's cheeks unknowingly, smudging her makeup. She slowly picked up the red veil and covered her head. I have decided to try one last time. If he really loves me, he will come to stop this wedding. If he doesn't love me, my persistence will not end well. Thank you for helping me hide it. Gao Tsuelan, no, Miss Duan wore the red veil. In a place where no one could see, her eyes were filled with sadness. Magician sighed. Have you ever thought that it's not that he doesn't love you, it's that he can't love you? The person I love is a hero. He can put the whole world in his heart, but he won't leave a corner for me. If that's the case, I am willing to use everything I have to make him understand that he has people in his heart, but I only have him in my heart. I will help him become an unparalleled hero in exchange for a small corner in his heart that belongs to me. Some guessed the beginning correctly. Some guessed the ending correctly. Magician sighed. Perhaps I shouldn't tell you this, but his fate is sealed. But I still don't understand. Is the answer really that important? It's important to me. It's important to every girl. Miss Duan sat on the sedan chair and whispered through the curtain. I am willing to do everything I can to help him become the person he wants to be. But he must tell me whether he loves me or not. Let's go. She whispered. Zhuang Baifin turned his head and glanced at them indifferently. He raised the suona in his hand, and the loud sound of gongs and drums rang out. The grand wedding procession, carrying the bridal sedan, began to move towards the Zhu family's piggery. There were red wedding papers everywhere, firecrackers, and big red flowers everywhere. But the procession did not have the slightest bit of a festive atmosphere. Chen Xuanzang looked at the procession from Gao village. He was speechless. They're already far away. You're still looking. Zhuang Baifin's voice came from behind him. Chen Xuanzang looked back in surprise. Didn't you go to the wedding? Just because we look the same, does that mean it's me? Zhuang Baifin sneered. That's the Monkey King's transformation. Chen Xuanzang sighed and said, I didn't expect that just transforming Gao Tsuelan into Miss Duan's appearance would throw my mind into chaos. I even forgot about my goal of reforming the pig demon. To think that I made a bet with him so confidently. Chen Xuanzang sighed and said, I understand. I lost the bet the moment I was tempted by it. Even now, I still couldn't let it go. But if I went to stop Gao Tsuelan and Zhu Gonglia's wedding, I would completely fall into the Monkey King's trap. He wants me to personally act as the adulterer and destroy my concept of exorcism. So, Zhuang Baifin asked, You just watched as Gao Tsuelan married Zhu Ganglai. Do you know? Xian Zong replied, Actually, Zhu Gongga is a good person. Without his appearance, he was better than most men in this world. As for Gao Tsuelan, she only looked exactly like Miss Duan. However, she was not a person who cared about appearances. They'll be happy without me interfering. As long as I let go of my prejudice against Zhu Gongxi's appearance, as long as I let go of my obsession with Gao Tsuelan who looks exactly like Miss Duan, as long as I let go of my appearance, this might be the real way to enlighten the pig demon. Because of his appearance, Zhu Ganglai was discriminated against. As long as he let go of his obsession with sex appeal, he would be able to change his mind. Naturally, I'll be able to obtain his approval. Zhuang Baifin quietly watched Xuanzang act tough, then coldly replied, Zhuang Baifin can be someone else, But why can't Gao Tsuelan be Miss Duan? You saw that the magician was not a magician, and you thought that you had seen through the illusion. You thought that there was no role-playing in the illusion. But why don't you ask yourself why you wanted to kiss me in the first place? Qin Xuanzang was stunned. He touched his heart and said in a daze, so, a magician might not be a magician, but Gao Tsuelan is really Miss Duan. Zhuang Baifan said, I can be Zhuang Baifan. Anyone can be Zhuang Baifan. But for you, there should only be one Miss Duan. Is Gao Tsuelan really Miss Duan? Xuanzang closed his eyes and recalled the last time he met Gao Tsuelan. Every frown and smile was peeled away from the layer of fog. No expression was as clear as what he felt in his heart. Moreover, it's Miss Duan who hasn't lost her memory. She's just acting for me to see. Xuanzang took out a pair of brass knuckles. He had picked it up from a female puppet when he was subduing the pig demon in Gaojia village. He didn't know why he kept it on him. What are you going to do? Zhuang Baifan saw Xuanzang's face suddenly become firm as he ran in the direction of the wedding procession. Qin Xuanzang's voice came from afar. Find Miss Duan and kill the pig demon. Didn't you say you would let go of your prejudice against the pig demon's appearance? Didn't you say you were going to bet with the Monkey King? Zhuang Baifan shouted from behind. But that doesn't stop me from killing it. Qin Xuanzang cursed. How dare it touch my woman? Even if it touches a finger, I will beat it to death. That's too violent. Zhuang Baifan sighed. He doesn't look like a person who is about to become a monk. At the wedding venue, gongs and drums could be heard. The Zhu family's pig farm was decorated with red ribbons. Zhu Ganglai wore a big red flower and a groom's outfit. He stood in the middle of the hall. A matchmaker who looked like the 4 aunties hired by Mr. Emptiness, but she had all the characteristics of the 4 aunties. She led Gao Tsuelan, who was wearing a red veil, into the hall. Boss, we'll have to pay more for the extra scenes later, the matchmaker said to Magician. The bride snatching scene later is the same as the wedding scene. Magician bargained. How about this? I'll give you an extra drumstick for your lunch tonight. If you keep arguing, you won't even get a drumstick. Mr. Emptiness won't hire you anymore. Why? Because you keep adding scenes without his permission, making him lose face. Drama queen. Stop nagging. Magician turned his head and said, Can't you show some respect to the light? Can you shine it on the bride? Aren't you afraid of having nightmares if it shines on the groom? There are so many extras here. Are you going to pay for their psychological damages? Why isn't the male lead here yet? Magician was puzzled. Is Xiao Zhuang late again? The dark night of the soul has to start 3 minutes after the plot reaches its lowest point, okay? He dragged the scene for so long. He must have added more lines on his own. Get ready for the wedding ceremony. Magician shouted at the matchmaker. Stingy bastard. As the matchmaker cursed under her breath, the sound of the Swona began to play. In the midst of the bustling atmosphere, Gao Tsuelan, played by Miss Duan, took small steps down from the sedan chair. The matchmaker used a piece of red satin to hold her hand as she walked towards Zhu Ganglai, who had been waiting for a long time. The surrounding actors held their breaths. At that moment, Magician's long-awaited voice finally rang. Wait, Gao Tsuelan turned around in surprise. The red veil on her head fluttered with the wind. Indeed, Chen Xuanzang barged in from the main door. He held his brass knuckles and rushed to the hall. Wait, Chen Xuanzang looked at Gao Tsuelan and asked in a low voice, Is that you? Gao Tsuelan revealed a bright smile. It's me. Chen Xuanzang grabbed Miss Duan's hand, pushed the matchmaker away, and rushed outside. At that moment, Zhu Ganglai suddenly grabbed Gao Tsuelan's hand. Just as the audience was about to witness a passionate wedding, Zhu Ganglai pulled Gao Tsuelan back bit by bit. Little by little, Zhu Ganglai pulled Gao Tsuelan back. Qin Xuanzang couldn't resist his astonishing strength. He grabbed Gao Tsuelan's hand and was dragged back to the hall. Zhu Ganglai grabbed their hands that were holding each other's hands and separated them with a pull of their hands. Gao Tsuelan, no, Miss Duan was furious. She channeled her qi into her body and circulated it with her strength. She forcefully gathered her true qi and was about to teach Zhu Ganglai a lesson. Chen Xuanzang was afraid that she would kill the pig demon and provoke its demonic nature, so he quickly stopped her. Don't! At that moment, Zhu Ganglai suddenly let go of Miss Duan's hand, but he still held onto Chen Xuanzang. He finally looked into Chen Xuanzang's eyes and said in a low voice, "You're here!" Gao Tsuelan, Miss Duan, was stunned. Chen Xuanzang didn't know what to do. Zhu Ganglai grabbed Chen Xuanzang's arm and pulled him into his embrace. The erratic flying hoop in Miss Duan's hand suddenly fell into the dust, startling the crowd. Zhu Ganglai was also startled as he turned around to take a look. She spoke incoherently. "I'm sorry, I accidentally disturbed you guys." "Why don't I dare to look you in the eye?" "It's because I'm afraid that you'll see the 3 words in my eyes." Zhu Gong's gaze was like this. "I love you." His passionate gaze caused Chen Xuanzang's entire body to feel uncomfortable and incomparably terrified. Magician laughed from behind and said, "Gao Tsuelan, must it be Gao Tsuelan? Gao Tsuelan can be Miss Duan, so why can't Chen Xuanzang be Gao Tsuelan? Zhuang Baifan isn't Zhuang Baifan and Magician isn't Magician. Of course, Chen Xuanzang isn't Chen Xuanzang either. That's right, you're Gao Tsuelan. You're the one the pig demon loves. You're the one dancing under the moonlight. As for Miss Duan, although she's called Gao Tsuelan, she's actually the adulterer. How about it, Chen Xuanzang? I, old son, still lied to you. Now, I'll let you know who you love, and I let her know that you love her. So, next it's your turn to choose. You can tell yourself that you won't sacrifice other innocent people. You won't sacrifice Miss Duan. Right now, Miss Duan doesn't need to be sacrificed, only you. Admit it. You're just not willing to sacrifice. You're just prejudiced. Miss Duan isn't an excuse. Love isn't an excuse either. You're just selfish. Chen Xuanzang's body stiffened. He looked at Zhu Ganglia's affectionate but incomparably ugly face. He was momentarily dazed. Magician had turned into Monkey King. He smiled and said, "I know you dare to make a choice. Between saving the pig demon and Miss Duan, you didn't even need to think to make a choice. This kind of choice isn't what I want. What I want is the choice to dig out the ugliness in your heart. I won't let you be the adulterer because Miss Duan is innocent. Now, I'll let you be Gao Tsuelan. Tell me, will you pursue your love, or will you endure this ugly monster? What appearance isn't important? What's seeing through the surface? I want you to admit that you're selfish. You're just like Gao Tsuelan. You value appearance. I don't value appearance, but I'm a man." Chen Xuanzang roared. "Gender isn't important either." Monkey King waved his hand. Chapter 990. Xian Zhang's eyes were confused for a moment, but when he looked back and saw Zhu Ganglia's honor, he still became firm. He turned to Zhu Ganglai and said, "Mr. Sun, a melon that is forcibly picked is not sweet. A forced love and marriage are not happy." Monkey King sighed, "So you don't want to go to hell? Now, let's rethink the case of the pig demon." Chen Xuanzang shook off Zhu Ganglia's hand and said to everyone, "Let's look at this tragedy again. Mr. Zhu wasn't wrong. Actually, Miss Gao wasn't wrong to dislike Mr. Zhu. What was wrong was that she used the wrong method to solve their problem. So I think, in the end, you just don't want to sacrifice your life for the sake of all living beings." Monkey King said, "If I want to reason with you, why would I look for you?" Monkey King asked in surprise, "I'll go to the government. Sentence the adulterer and adulterer to be executed. Then kill the pig demon to pay for the lives of the innocent. You are a Mahayana disciple. You need to go through hardships, laws, and human relationships. Why would I need you here?" "Mr. Sun, that's not what you said." Xuanzang explained. Then you can reason with Zhu Ganglai yourself. Monkey King said and shook his head, wanting to leave. Mr. Sun, don't go. Let's think of a way to solve the problem perfectly. Xuanzang quickly stopped him. Then you can act as Gao Tsuelan and reform it. Monkey King pointed at the pig demon and said, Zhu Ganglai loves Gao Tsuelan deeply. He's just looking for a possibility for him and Gao Tsuelan to be happy. You can't even fulfill his wish, and you dare to say that you want to reform it? Xuanzang was speechless and said with tears in his eyes, But I don't have to sacrifice my chastity. Do you know what's the biggest difference between Buddhism and Dharma? Monkey King said calmly, Dharma needs justice, while Buddhism needs compassion. Compassion requires sacrifice and self-sacrifice. How can I save all living beings if I don't give up? Is my test very difficult? But in this world, there are choices that are thousands of times more difficult than this. The greater the wish of the Buddha, the greater the responsibility. Today, you're in a dilemma because you're only giving up a little of your own. How can Buddha make a choice on behalf of all living beings? I'm standing up against Buddha today, not because I'm naturally against it, but because it promises too many things, but doesn't dare to make choices for all living beings. Between the eagle and the dove, it did not dare to choose, so it sacrificed itself and cut off its flesh to feed the eagle. It didn't dare to choose between love and the law, so it came out to cultivate. Even between its homeland, Sakya, and the mortal world, it didn't dare to choose. It just watched the destruction of Sakya. All living beings have all kinds of sufferings. As a bystander who hides from the world, don't boast so much. The only thing he could do to deliver all living beings from suffering was to sacrifice himself. Now you don't even dare to sacrifice yourself? My worries are gone, and the world of mortals is far away. Little monk, you still don't understand why Buddha wants his followers to become monks. It's because you can't bear the troubles of the mortal world, so you can only escape. From what I see, this Buddhist doctrine is just a sentence. The Monkey King smiled disdainfully. Escaping is shameful, but it's useful. You don't even dare to say the first half of the sentence. Your master only told you that escaping is useful, but he didn't tell you that escaping is shameful. I've seen too many people escaping from my master. Although they escaped the sufferings of the mortal world, they lost too many possibilities and became walking corpses. Chun Xuanzang, you've been learning to be a walking corpse. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on Spirited Mountain are also walking corpses. Chun Xuanzang, although you keep saying that you want to deliver all living beings from suffering, you've actually been escaping. You're escaping from your relationship with Miss Duan, and you're also escaping from the true sufferings of all living beings. You're even escaping from the method to save all living beings. Do you think you can save all living beings with those lousy books from India? What a joke! Buddha didn't escape. Qin Xuanzang stood up and said loudly, he just avoided sacrificing too much. He's always using his own method to save all living beings. That's exactly escaping. The Monkey King sighed and said, my master is a merciless person, but he's never escaped from his position. He's always creating and choosing according to his own will. Bodhisattvas fear karma and mortals fear karma. Actually, in my opinion, there's no difference between bodhisattvas and mortals. Bodhisattvas are just mortals with great magic power. You're not a Buddha, and you're not a bodhisattva. How can you understand the great love behind their fear? They have great magic power, but they've always avoided using it to do whatever they want like you. This isn't fear, it's true compassion for all living beings who have no choice. Qin Xuanzang said sternly. The Monkey King smiled and said, no matter what you say, Qin Xuanzang, you still have to make a choice. Show me. The Monkey King slowly grew a lianhua. He smiled and sat cross-legged on the lianhua, looking at Qin Xuanzang. Qin Xuanzang's lips trembled, and he instinctively formed a cross with his hands. He fell into a difficult choice. Miss Duan looked at Qin Xuanzang, who was in extreme pain, and her heart ached. She said to the Monkey King, let him go. I don't want to ask that question anymore. The Monkey King said, I'm teaching him to face it. A person can't always escape. Do you think he'll feel at ease if you let him continue to escape? Escape from his feelings for you? Escape from his fate? There will come a time when he has no choice but to face it. But by then it'll be too late. At this moment, tears of humiliation flowed down from Chen Xuanzang's eyes. He choked and said, I'm willing. Willing to what? The Monkey King asked coldly. Xuanzang lowered his head even more and then raised it again. Tears rolled down from the corner of his eyes as he said, I'm willing to be Gao Suilan and bear her pain. All right, go. The Monkey King pointed at Zhu Ganglai. Looking at Zhu Gonglia's bloody mouth, thick black hair and saliva dripping down from his mouth, Xuanzang's determination was blown away like a small sapling in a storm. He closed his eyes and said with difficulty, Can Mr. Sun turn me into Gao Zuelan? The Monkey King sighed. Xuanzang, your comprehension is still too low. Your body is just a facade, and everything else is just an illusion. That's why I can't. Thank you. Miss Duan couldn't bear to look back, but she heard Zhu Ganglai smiling at Xuanzang. Zuelan! She finally couldn't bear it anymore and said to the Monkey King, Mr. Sun, I beg you, can you think of another way? Don't force him. Xuanzang walked towards Zhu Ganglai with difficulty and shouted without turning back, Don't beg him! Miss Duan couldn't help but cry. She bit her lower lip and blood seeped out. She clenched the amorphous flying hoop and suddenly shouted, I can't take it any more! She pointed at Xuanzang and said, Tell me, what other coquettish bitch wants to steal my man? You're my woman, not some random duck. Did I allow you to run away with a man as you please? Get back here. Xuanzang was stunned, but he heard Miss Duan yell, Get back here, do you hear me? Miss Duan clenched her fists and said to the Monkey King, Look, you see it's not a matter of choice or not. It's me getting my man back. She pointed at Zhu Ganglai and said, This coquettish bitch wants to steal my man, and it doesn't even ask if I agree. If I don't agree, I'll beat it until it doesn't even dare to think about it. Xuanzang understood and shook his head. No, this has nothing to do with you. Miss Duan had already walked down. What do you mean it has nothing to do with me? Does it have nothing to do with me if it wants my man? She pointed at Zhu Ganglai domineeringly and said, I'll kill whoever dares to touch him. Xuanzang shook his head. It has nothing to do with you. Go away. Scram. Miss Duan looked at him deeply and continued to say to Zhu Ganglai, Look at you, you dare to have designs on him. Do you think I'm easy to deal with? Zhu Ganglia's eyes slowly turned cold, and Chen Xuanzang shook his head. Scram. You're playing the role of the adulterer, and your provocation will only awaken the demon pig's demonic nature. If the scene of the adulterer killing the pig demon is repeated, Zhu Ganglai will become a demon again, and his hatred will burn even more. You'll only ruin my cultivation. I don't know what cultivation is, Miss Duan said, but I know you shouldn't be forced to this point. You're not its match. Xuanzang lowered his head and said, I beg you, go away. When Miss Duan walked past him, he grabbed her. Miss Duan slowly and firmly pulled her hand out and slowly walked past him. With her back facing him, she said, I also know that you don't care about cultivation. If I make the choice for you, are you willing to leave a small corner in your heart for me? Xuanzang's tears flowed down, and he shook his head repeatedly. But Miss Duan didn't care about his answer, and walked toward Zhu Ganglai without hesitation. When the amorphous flying hoop shot out from her hand, Chen Xuanzang watched in despair as the flying hoop hit Zhu Ganglai, and when Zhu Gonglia's body shattered, Zhu Gonglia's shadow slowly replaced him. A hideous monster, uglier than before, appeared in front of them. This time it wasn't a pig demon, but a pig demon, because in the illusion, the awakened pig demon repeated the pain of being killed by the adulterer. In its own illusion, it would be 100, 1,000 times stronger than before. A 9-toothed harrow slowly appeared in the pig demon's hand. Xuanzang turned to Monkey King and said, "I've made my choice. Why is it still like this? Why can't I stop her? Why?" "Monkey King, how long are you going to force me? What do you want me to do?" Chapter 991. As the pig demon went berserk, the nine-toothed harrow left 9 deep marks on the ground. The entire Zhu family's piggery and Gao family village were lifted from the ground by the harrow. Everything was crushed and disintegrated in the pig demon's rage. Zhuang Baifin, Abe No Saimai, the Nordic burly man mark, as well as the many servants and sedan bearers, faded away. Only Miss Duan, Chen Xuanzang, and the Lianhua that Monkey King was sitting on were left in this world. Within the Lianhua, Monkey King's figure looked like a Buddha. The unpredictable flying rings turned into golden rings that filled the sky. Every time they rotated, they brought with them a power that was 10 times stronger than before. This time, even Monkey King opened his eyes slightly and lamented. In the past, the unpredictable flying rings were used by heroine Sun Bailing as she wished. They could chase after souls and kill demons as easily as slaughtering chickens. If you could use the unpredictable flying rings to this level back then, the pig demon would have been eliminated long ago. Why would you come looking for me? Unfortunately, the pig demon today is no longer the pig demon of the past. There were thousands of unpredictable flying rings in the sky. As they rotated rapidly, they left behind countless rings that looked like clones of the unpredictable flying rings. The unpredictable flying rings shuttled through the sky, but none of them collided with each other. Finally, with Miss Duan's roar, all the unpredictable flying rings collided with each other along countless mysterious trajectories. Miss Duan kicked the flying rings that were shooting back at her back into the air. Those flying rings that were constantly colliding with each other contained a strange rotational force. When they collided with each other, not only did they not cause any resistance, but they were like 2 infinite spirals that were constantly borrowing force to surpass each other, borrowing force from each other to accelerate. This kind of wonderful hidden weapon had a wonderful structure. Coupled with Miss Duan's technique that was like an antelope hanging its horns, the speed of the flying rings had increased to a terrifying level. Goku secretly calculated that it was almost 6 times the speed of sound. As Miss Duan changed her technique, the golden rings began to shoot towards the pig demon one after another. It wasn't as if the boar demon had never dealt with flying hoops before. The 9-toothed rake in his hand spun rapidly, knocking away the flying hoops that were flying at him. However, this time was different. After the flying hoops were knocked away by the boar demon cleverly used the force of his attack to increase its power to a terrifying degree through continuous collisions. Every bit of the pig demon's counterattack was like a spring that exerted a pressure that was hundreds of times greater than normal, accumulating even more terrifying power and increasing the speed of the flying rings. The flying hoop that it swung away came back from a different angle, heading straight for the boar demon's vitals. In this situation, Xuanzang seemed to gain some confidence. He stared at the valiant and formidable Miss Duan without blinking. The flying ring formation in the sky sped up, as if subduing the pig demon was right in front of them. However, the Monkey King shook his head regretfully. As expected, as the boar demon's gaze turned serious, the 9-toothed rake suddenly transformed into a sky full of phantoms. It went around, swept, grabbed, or scratched at the flying ring formation in the sky. Even though the flying ring's speed increased to 9 times the speed of sound, they were still pierced by the boar demon's rake teeth. The 9 rake teeth were pierced through by the golden rings, and they were still vibrating at high speed. Zhu Ganglai trembled slightly, and all the golden rings shot back towards Miss Duan. With a thought, the ring phantoms in the sky dissipated, leaving only the golden ring that returned to her hand. However, how could Zhu Gonglia's attack be so simple? The moment Miss Duan's hand touched the golden ring, the hidden force that Zhu Ganglai left in the golden ring suddenly erupted. The golden ring smashed into Miss Duan's right arm, sending bone fragments flying and blood spraying everywhere. Flesh and blood were so weak. Miss Duan flew back, her arm twisted like a fried dough twist. Chen Xuanzang was so shocked by this turn of events that he lost his ability to speak. He looked at Miss Duan's figure struggling to stand up. His eyes were already so blurry that he couldn't see them anymore. He roared, "I admit defeat. Monkey King, I admit defeat. Let her go." However, the Monkey King said, "To subdue demons, one must first subdue one's heart. If the heart submits, the demons will retreat. As long as she wants to, she can withdraw from the illusory realm with a thought. As long as you are willing, you can also leave this place at any time. It's not that I don't want to let her go. It's that she doesn't want to leave. It's because she doesn't want to subdue her heart." Xuanzang turned to Miss Duan and said, "Why do you still want to stay here? If you withdraw from the illusory realm, we still have a chance. If you withdraw, then no one will be able to control the pig demon. It will be 100 times more ferocious than it is now, and the number of deaths it causes will be 100 times more. You will feel guilty, you will regret it, and your heart will never be at peace. I will also feel guilty and regret. I made the choice to turn the pig demon into a demon, so I should bear all the consequences." Miss Duan said loudly, "I won't run." "Ah!" The unpredictable flying rings flew out of her hand again, and along with Miss Duan's angry roar, they flew towards the pig demon. The pig demon just waved its rake and hit the flying rings back. It still hit Miss Duan, and there was another crisp sound of bones breaking. Miss Duan spat out a mouthful of blood, and she fell to the ground again. "It's useless even if you stay." Xuanzang's heart was already aching, and he begged, "Hurry up and leave. I still have a way. Monkey King, I beg you." Xuanzang knelt to the Monkey King and said, "I beg you, let her go. Let her go." The increasingly solemn Monkey King looked at the kneeling Chen Xuanzang, and a complicated look appeared in his eyes. "You are not like him after all. Even if he was reduced to ashes and crushed to pieces, he still wouldn't beg me." But Master said, "You are him." "I'm really in a dilemma." He said again, "Your way is to beg me." He pointed at the moon in the illusory realm and said, "Why not beg Buddha?" "Stand up. Don't beg him." Miss Duan shouted, "He is the king of demons, and he has a heart of stone. The more you beg him, the happier he will be. He just wants to torture you." While coughing blood and screaming, Miss Duan still stood up. The Monkey King sighed, "She is right. You shouldn't beg me because it's useless." He knows that begging for help is useless. He only knows how to beg Buddha, not me. On the other side, the pig demon's rake stabbed towards Miss Duan, and the 9 sharp teeth pierced through her body and came out from her back. The teeth that pierced through her internal organs took away her last bit of strength, and she knelt on the ground powerlessly. Xuanzang crawled towards her, and for some reason, the pig demon watched as Xuanzang crawled in front of him. "Leave." Xuanzang pressed on Miss Duan's wound and said, "You have tried your best. Get out. I beg you." Because of the blood loss, Miss Duan's face was as white as the moon in the sky. Exhaustion washed over her like a tide, and her internal organs were in great pain, but she refused to close her eyes. She looked at Xuanzang and said, "Your eyes are so beautiful. Unfortunately, it never smiles at me. But I know it is telling me, I love you. I have confirmed it 1,000 times, 10,000 times it is telling me this, but I still want to hear it from you." Xuanzang held her in his arms and said shakily, "I love you." But before he could say anything, the person in his arms had already closed her eyes. Xuanzang's heart ached and he cried ugly. He looked at Miss Duan, who had closed her eyes. In the end, she only had time to raise her head slightly. Xuanzang knew what she meant, and for the first time he kissed her without hesitation, but the lips of the beauty in his arms were already cold. "Ah!" Xuanzang screamed to the sky. Looking at the pig demon in front of him, he suddenly didn't know how to hate it. Hate the pig demon? In fact, it was just an innocent demon heart that was provoked. Hate the Monkey King? But it didn't seem like it was the Monkey King who forced them to this point. The Monkey King had always given them a chance. Hate himself? But Xuanzang's heart was so tired that he couldn't hate anymore. He couldn't love anymore. As Xuanzang's last teardrop fell to the ground, Zhu Gengge looked at that teardrop in a daze and suddenly said in a low voice, "What I really want is that I am willing to die for her, and she is also willing to die for me. If that's the case, why should I hate?" After saying that, the demon heart suddenly dissipated. He had finally reformed the pig demon with a real and painful teardrop. Chapter 992. Xuanzang sat under the moonlight with Miss Duan in his arms. The group of reincarnators looked confused, not understanding what was happening. Magician carefully approached and asked, "Mr. Qin?" He waved his hand in front of Xuanzang's eyes and asked carefully, "What happened in the pig demon's illusion?" "We were all tricked by Monkey King into another part of the pig demon's memory." This Miss Duan. Among the reincarnators, Zhuang Baifin whispered to Ramelkhan, "Things are out of control. No matter what magician's plan is, it's gone. Be careful not to fall into his trap." Ramelkhan replied softly, "How can you tell?" Magician still looks very confident. He doesn't look like he's completely out of control. Miss Duan is dead. Zhuang Baifin sneered. "Look at Xuanzang, he's obviously going to achieve enlightenment. It's normal for Miss Duan to die." Ramelkhan was confused. "Didn't we analyze it before? Xuanzang is definitely going to kill a woman. He's just going to die faster this time. Because of the butterfly effect caused by the reincarnators, it's normal for the plot to deviate." Abe joined in. "The Exorcist's plot isn't that far off. We've experienced much more exaggerated plots in the past. At least we're still following the main plot." "The plot?" Zhuang Baifin sneered. "How many of us don't know the plot?" Zhuang Baifin pointed at Chen Xuanzang and Monkey King. "Think about it. Do we know as much as these characters? Let's count. Chen Xuanzang already knows his mission, or rather his destiny, is to obtain the scriptures. He even knows that he's the reincarnation of Golden Cicada, a setting that has never appeared in The Exorcist. There's no need to talk about Monkey King. Look at it, it seems to know everything. A monkey that knows that Buddha wants him to obtain the scriptures and wants him to become Chen Xuanzang's disciple. He even knows the backgrounds of Zhu Ganglai and Shao Wujing. How do you plan to get him to obtain the scriptures? Do you want it to go on a killing spree like in the original plot?" Zhuang Baifin sneered. "In my opinion, whether or not the seal is still there is a problem." "That's right." Ramelkhan suddenly realized. "This monkey is quite amazing. Now we have lost all control over the plot's development factors. In this world, we are not as clear as Chen Xuanzang about the power of the exorcists and the secular background of the Tang Empire. We don't understand the relationship between the immortals and Buddhas as well as the Monkey King, after losing the only main storyline that we know. Do you think that we don't know as much as these plot characters? Now that the plot has developed this way, do you think it's still in our hands?" Zhuang Baifin took out a cigarette, lit it for himself, and analyzed calmly. Ramelkhan broke out in a cold sweat and said in horror, "Magician has lost control of the situation." "Right now, the entire situation is under the control of one party. How the plot will develop from now on will be completely determined by that party alone," Zhuang Baifin said calmly. "Then who is he?" Abe cleverly played the supporting role. Zhuang Baifin pointed at the Monkey King. "Of course it's Monkey King. Think about it calmly. Who is the strongest here, who knows the most, and who has been controlling the development of the situation from the beginning to the end? Who is toying with us and Chen Xuanzang in the palm of their hands? Who made Chen Xuanzang's woman die so easily? Who is controlling the illusion? It's all Monkey King. Rameau Khan said in horror. Then why does magician still dare to plot with a tiger? After Rameau Khan came to his senses, he broke out in a cold sweat and felt a lingering fear. He asked, "Doesn't he know that the Monkey King has already become a huge variable? He can't back down now," Zhuang Baifeng said gloatingly. "After investing so much, he can't afford to lose anymore. For us reincarnators, sometimes it's necessary to gamble, but if we can't afford to lose, then it's no different from losing. Who is the reincarnator?" Hans also came over and sighed. "The Monkey King is indeed sinister and cunning, as expected of the King of Demons. Now, we don't even have the confidence to use the Buddha's seal. Originally, we thought that as long as we knew the key to the seal was Lianhua, we would be able to control the Monkey King. But now it seems that we were wrong. Now I can't be sure if Lianhua is the key anymore." "There's still another key," Zhuang Baifeng reminded. "We thought that the two keys to control the Monkey King were the Lianhua seal and the Vairocana Sutra. Originally, as long as we gave the Vairocana Sutra to Chen Xuanzang at the crucial moment, he could use the Buddha's palm to suppress the Monkey King. But now, the key to forcing Chen Xuanzang to use the Buddha's palm, Miss Duan, is dead." Zhuang Baifeng glanced at Chen Xuanzang, who was standing not far from him, and sighed. "Chen Xuanzang still looks as if he has no fighting spirit at all. I wonder how Sun Wukong managed to scheme and kill Miss Duan. With his current state, it's hard to say if he can even use the Buddha's palm." "Got it." Magician walked to the center of the reincarnators with a gloomy face. "Miss Duan died while trying to reform the pig demon. She was beaten to death by the demonized pig demon. Then why did the pig demon demonize?" Perfected Hans asked. Magician was speechless. "It was forced by Miss Duan to demonize." "Why did Miss Duan force the pig demon to demonize?" Hans was still puzzled. Magician was even more speechless. "It was to force Chen Xuanzang to face his feelings, and also to prevent him from sacrificing himself for the pig demon. The Monkey King really cleaned himself up." Abe sighed emotionally. This kind of ability to scheme against people silently. If Sun Wukong had this kind of emotional intelligence, why would he have fallen out with the heavenly court and been suppressed by Rulai? Maybe he reflected on himself for the past 500 years. Zhuang Baifeng changed the topic. In other words, that dead woman didn't help Xuanzang achieve enlightenment as Buddha had hoped, but made him fall into self-blame and confusion? Zhuang Baifeng stroked his chin and said, "Then if everything goes according to Buddha's wishes, how will he enlighten Qin Xuanzang?" At this time, Xuanzang walked over with Miss Duan in his arms. "Exorcist seniors, I have subdued the pig demon. He has voluntarily become my disciple to learn how to love and be loved, from small love to great love. My goal in coming here has been achieved. Now, I plan to go back and ask Master some questions. I hope she can answer my doubts. At the same time, I want to find a good place for my wife to be buried. Let's bid farewell here." "Wait." Magician didn't expect Xuanzang to end things like this. "Mr. Qin, have you given up on converting the King of Demons, the Monkey King, to fulfill Miss Duan's last wish and your exorcism philosophy?" Chen Xuanzang put his palms together. "My cultivation is still too shallow. I haven't truly understood the essence of Buddhism. For me now, I still need to polish my exorcism philosophy. The King of Demons, the Monkey King, is too powerful and has fallen too deeply into the devil. His magic power is strong, and his anti-Buddhist theory is perfect. I personally feel that he isn't someone I can convert now. So, I've decided to go back and learn from Master. One day, I will be able to understand the Monkey King's evil nature and pull out his poisonous fangs like how I treated that poisonous snake. But now I can't save Sun Wukong. There's nothing I can do. That's it. I'm leaving." Magician said anxiously, "Mr. Qin, are you willing to leave without trying?" Xuanzang said, "There's no need to try. I'm afraid I'll be bewitched by him if I try again. Xuanzang didn't turn around. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll believe him and ask Master who he is. Who am I? When I find out the truth, maybe I'll become what the Monkey King wants me to be. In this world, who doesn't have evil in their hearts? Xuanzang said sadly, maybe like Buddha, the devil is in our hearts too. Magician wanted to say something, but was stopped by Xuanzang. Senior, don't try to persuade me anymore. Let me ask you a question. We all know why the fish and pig demons became demons. But do any of you know why Sun Wukong became a demon? If we don't even know where his evil nature is, how are we supposed to convert him? If we want to remove the evil nature, we need to know where its poisonous fangs are. Chapter 993. Xian Zong tied the luggage to his body. When he picked up Miss Duan's body, a book suddenly slipped from her arms. Xian Zong was stunned for a moment. He picked up the familiar yellow songbook from the ground. He saw that the songbook that had been put back together was tattered, and the different pieces were haphazardly pieced together. Touching the ragged cover of the songbook, he seemed to see Miss Duan, who was illiterate, piecing it together bit by bit under the moonlight during the day and at night. A few drops of water fell silently, wetting the songbook. He didn't see the samsara travelers behind him looking at the songbook with unknown intentions. He carefully put the songbook in his arms, carried Miss Duan, and turned to leave. He tied Miss Duan on his back and carried her down the Five-Finger Mountain. It was another mountain crossing. This time, it was even more difficult. Xianzong buried Miss Duan in front of the nameless old temple. Facing the vast Buddha, he returned to the city. When he arrived in front of the dilapidated wall, there were indeed a few more paintings that were still wet with ink. It was a monkey carrying a stick, its face sinister, baring its teeth, standing tall in the clouds, looking down on the indistinct figures of the heavenly deities in the distance. There was another painting, but it was a painting of a beautiful island in the middle of the ocean, a spiritualism immortal stone. One was an ignorant monkey mixed in with a group of monkeys. One was a divine monkey with phoenix wings and a crown, and one was a lawless and violent demon monkey. Xianzong was lost in thought. Master, is this the Monkey King? In front of him, the fat monk who was painting on the wall put down his brush. He turned around and said, Yes, this is the King of Demons, the Monkey King. Xianzong, did you gain anything from meeting him? I gained a lot. Xianzong said, With his help, I reformed the fish demon and the pig demon. I took them as my disciples. There were 2 less demons in the world, and 2 more people who sincerely atoned for their sins. At the same time, I also understood my feelings. I met someone I really liked. I loved, I felt pain, I was stubborn, I was enlightened, and I lost her in the end. You didn't fail this time. How is it? Do you understand the true power behind the 300 nursery songs? The fat monk smiled. Xuanzang said sadly, Yes, I didn't fail this time. However, the price of success is too cruel. He suddenly burst into tears. If I could, I would rather start all over again. Why? Master, why? Why can't I do anything about it? Why can't I help it? Why do I have to pay such a price for the people I love? Is it that only when one's heart is dead that they won't hurt others? Master. He raised his head, looked at the big monk with messy hair, and said painfully, Can I ask you a question? I know. The big monk sighed and said, I have loved. That's not the problem, Master. Xuanzang wanted to explain, but the fat monk interrupted him. Got it. Protect the big one. Master, stop fooling around. Save my mother. Grandmaster passed away a long time ago. Nope. In the end, Xuanzang said weakly, Master, I'm talking to you about something serious. I'm also answering you seriously. The fat monk put his palms together and sighed. I don't regret it. Xuanzang looked at him with a strange look and said numbly, Do you know what I'm asking? Master. The fat monk smiled and said, The answer is not important. The process is important. Ask yourself, do you really need my answer? Or do you already have the answer in your heart when you ask? Xuanzang couldn't help but hit his head against the wall and said painfully, I know what I'm lacking, but master, I can't do it. I really can't do it. I can't make a choice. I don't dare to face it. I can't bear the heavy responsibility of obtaining the scriptures. Master, your disciple is unfilial. You chose the wrong person. The fat monk helped him up and comforted him. No, Master didn't choose the wrong person. You're just lacking a little bit. The fat monk pointed at the mural and said, Sun Wukong's original name was Jizun Bao. He was a bandit king. He offended a demoness called Chun Shizaniang, the one who lost her head when she fell in love with him. Because of that, the bandits were slaughtered. He fell in love with a woman called Bai Jingjing, the junior sister of Chun Shizaniang. The demoness Bai Jingjing took him back to their lair, the cave where Lady Chun and Bai Jingjing's master, great deity Pan Si, lived. By a freak combination of factors, great deity Pan Si thought that Jizun Bao and she were destined to be together. In other words, they were engaged. But Jizun Bao thought that he liked Bai Jingjing. A battle between master and disciple was about to unfold. In the end, in order to find Bai Jingjing, Jizun Bao lied to great deity Pan Si and let her fall into the hands of another bandit, the great sage who pacifies the heavens, Bull Demon King. At the last moment, Bai Jingjing finally let Jizun Bao know who he really liked, but it was too late. Lady Chun found them and killed both Jizun Bao and Bai Jingjing. In order to save great deity Pan Si, Jizun Bao swore in front of Guanyin Bodhisattva that he would protect the sutra seeker for the rest of his life. Finally, he was resurrected and became a demon with magical power, Monkey King. But in the end, Monkey King still couldn't save great deity Pan Si, and she died in his arms. Because of the oath, he had a splitting headache and let his lover's body slip into the sea of fire, turning into ashes. In this extreme anger and resentment, he killed Bull Demon King and reincarnated as a demon. In the end, he decided to betray his oath and seek revenge from Guanyin Bodhisattva. He became a demon with boundless magical power. That was the king of demons, Monkey King. No wonder he hated me so much. Xuanzang said in a daze, Could it be that the sutra seeker he wanted to protect was me? The fat monk nodded and said, Yes, it was you. What an ill-fated relationship. Xuanzang sighed and said, So, is this the source of Monkey King's demonic nature? He became a demon because of my son and committed countless sins. He also made me feel the pain of losing a loved one. Did he want me to understand his grief and helplessness that day? The fat monk sighed and said, Yes, he became a demon because of you. So you also lost your loved one because of him. In the end, he still needed you to enlighten the demonic nature in his heart. But his demonic nature is very deep, and he understands everything. Xuanzang shook his head and said, He's not easy to fool. I mean enlighten. Yes, demons are afraid of meeting those who understand everything. The fat monk smiled and said, But fortunately he was sealed in the Five Fingers Mountain, so you have a chance. But be careful of his cunning. The fat monk turned around and saw Xuanzang looking at him suspiciously. He scolded, Why are you looking at me like that? Xuanzang asked, Master, I'm thinking, is the Monkey King really sealed? Of course, you went to see him. If he wasn't sealed, why would he be so obedient? The fat monk replied, The seal won't be broken? Xuanzang was still a little doubtful. The fat monk waved his hand and said, That seal was personally suppressed by Buddha. How can it be broken? It won't. It can't even hurt an ant there. It's very harmless. If he was dangerous, why would I let you go find him? Xuanzang questioned, but I saw with my own eyes that he beat an exorcist to death. So cruel. Is that so? The fat monk didn't dare to look Xuanzang in the eyes and turned his head as if nothing had happened. Xuanzang's eyes were bright, and he said, I saw it with my own eyes. It's very reliable. Then the seal must have loosened. The fat monk sighed and said, It's been 500 years. It's already the new year in the heavenly court. Is it normal for the seal to be loosened? Xuanzang was still doubtful, and he asked, I mean, was the Monkey King really sealed by Buddha because of his many evil deeds? Could it be that it was just a civil settlement, and then he was compensated with a 5-finger mountain cave or something? Who said that? The fat monk jumped up as if his tail had been stepped on. His expression changed drastically, and he said, There's no such thing. The demon monkey was born in Aolai Nation's Mount Huagua, and whatnot, it's all a rumor. Guanyin Bodhisattva's Mount Putao in the South Sea is definitely not Mount Huagua. Xuanzang, you have to show evidence, he said sinisterly. Master, this has nothing to do with me, Xuanzang said. I'm just asking, is it really sealed? What's the key to the seal? Of course it's sealed. Back then, Buddha personally used the Vairocana Sutra to strike it down from the sky. His 5 fingers formed a mountain and suppressed it there. It's true, absolutely true, there's no falsehood. The fat monk replied without turning his head. There was a trace of anxiety in his tone. Where's the key to the seal? It's the lianhua at the entrance of the cave. Remember, no matter what, do not pull out that lianhua. The fat monk pushed him out as he said, What about the matter of reforming Sun Wukong and saving the world? I'll leave it to you. Don't let Master down go. Go. Don't let the Monkey King wait too long. He pushed Xuanzang out and waved his hand. Go quickly. Master, why didn't you say so earlier? Xuanzang continued to chatter. Why didn't you say so last time? Such an important thing. Why didn't you say it last time? Master. Xuanzang's head was hit by a shoe, and seeing that the fat monk had already taken off his second shoe, Xuanzang could only run away. Magician looked at Xuanzang and said solemnly, Is it like this? Xuanzang nodded. Yes, it is like this. The Monkey King became a demon because of this. Now, with my master's guidance, we have finally found a way to reform him. That's why I want to borrow your demon-revealing mirror, so that the Monkey King can go back in time and unravel the source of everything. Zhuang Baifin was already numb. He murmured, Joker, by Jingjing, Zixia Fairy. No, it's the great deity of silk. Why does the plot sound so familiar? Make a wish to Guanyin Bodhisattva to become a demon and save Zixia Fairy. Abe's face stiffened. That's F** King possible? It's a circle. So, Journey to the West Conquers the Demons is actually the sequel to Journey to the West. Han said. That makes sense. Viking Mark said. It's the same director and the same theme. There's no problem. Chapter 994. At the foot of the 5 Fingers Mountain, the sun was setting. Monkey King scooped up a durian and crawled out of the cave lazily. He sat on a rock at the entrance of the cave and leaned against the lianhua. He placed the durian in front of him and split it open with his hands. Then he ate the durian while squinting his eyes to bask in the sun. His monkey fur had become knotted because he hadn't taken care of it for a long time. Monkey King touched it casually. His claws seemed to have regained their ability when he was at the mountain of flowers and fruits. They were very agile. He could catch a lice with just a touch and pinch it to death. Then he spread the lice on his right hand and counted. 1, 2, 3, 10. He didn't look like Monkey King now. Instead, he looked like an unknown wild monkey in the countryside. Yo, is the great sage equaling heaven trying to catch lice for himself? The tiger form, fist style, sneered at Wukong. Nothing seemed to have changed since Xuanzang came to the 5 Fingers Mountain. But in fact, the influence he had caused had already spread. Originally, no one had been able to find Sun Wukong, so the title of the fiendish Demon King did not bring much to the world of exorcists. But now, the news of the fiendish Demon King Sun Wukong's appearance had alarmed countless exorcists. This wild monkey is the great sage, heaven's equal. A burly man said in a rough voice. He looked at Monkey King for a long time and sneered. How can he kill Heaven Cripple Legs? Tiger form fist, are you lying to us? Another white-faced scholar looked at Monkey King for a while and clicked his tongue. Doesn't look like it, doesn't look like it. He doesn't look domineering at all. Who would believe that we killed him? I've asked around. This is the Five Fingers Mountain, and he's Monkey King. Don't be fooled by his listless look now. When he killed Heaven Cripplelegs, he was so cool. Tiger Form Fist hurriedly explained. If we kill him, we will be the number 1 exorcists. Don't stand on ceremony. Hey! The muscular man said impolitely, Are you Monkey King? Sun Wukong lazily turned around and said, I'm the great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. People would believe you if you said you were a wild monkey from the countryside. Who would believe you if you said you were the king of demons, the Monkey King? The dark-skinned, burly man impatiently turned his head around and said, Do you want to groom it? Otherwise, people will say that we casually caught a monkey and claimed it to be the king of demons. We will be laughed at by the world. Monkey King pointed at the surroundings, helplessly. Stop talking about Monkey King. If Buddha Tathagata were to live here for 500 years, he would also be a Hindustani. You can't just look at the surface. How about this? The tiger form Fist suddenly shook out an armor from the side. It was a dazzling golden chainmail, a pair of Chang'an's new lotus silk cloud walking boots, and a purple gold crown with 2 pheasant feathers. It was the armor of the great sage equaling heaven that had been passed down for a long time. The tiger form Fist said, Luckily I came prepared. You can wear this and fight with us. Monkey King turned around and suddenly touched the material. He pouted and said, This is a golden chainmail. The weight of the gold is not right, and the weave is very rough. One look and you can tell that it is the work of a village blacksmith. Even the gilding is not good. Fail. The design of the lotus silk cloud walking boots is too ugly. It is made of low-quality silk. If you touch it, it will be torn. Fail. Damn. Phoenix wings, purple gold crown. It is fine if the phoenix wings are made of chicken feathers, but the chicken droppings are still there. Monkey King pointed at the yellow spots on the feathers and moved closer to Tiger Form Fist and said, What about purple gold? Who are you trying to fool with purple copper? Tiger Form Fist lowered his head in shame. Monkey King pointed at his nose and said with disdain, I, old son, collected the treasures of the dragon kings of the 4 seas. The dragon kings of the 4 seas are extremely wealthy, and that is why they could take out that set. Who are you trying to fool with this low-quality imitation from Chang'an? This golden armor is like a nouveau riche. The pheasant feathers are crooked, and the lotus silk cloud walking boots are torn. In comparison, my outfit can be said to be simple, low-key, and sophisticated. And this golden cudgel. Monkey King snatched the golden cudgel from Tiger Form Fist and threw it on the ground. He pointed at it and said, Call out to it. Do you think it will dare to answer? It is just a stupid toy made of broken iron. Who are you trying to fool? Monkey King asked. The 3 exorcists lowered their heads in shame. Monkey King sighed and said, Where is your sincerity? When you came here, you first looked at me with disdain. What's wrong with me picking lice? Can't I have some hobbies? Isn't it normal for a monkey to pick lice? Although I am Monkey King, I have never thought that I am special. I come from the crowd and go to the crowd. What I do when I'm picking lice is called blending with the light and going deep into the crowd. Old Lord Taishang, isn't I powerful? The venerable of the 3 pure ones, the sage, came to the world. When I was helping him, your grandfather's grandfather was still in his mother's womb. I'm so low-key here. Do you have the right to look down on me? Monkey King pointed at himself and moved closer to the 3 people. Who are you showing these broken toys to? Yes, my fur is knotted. My body is also shedding dregs. I'm covered in dirt, right? But Monkey King is covered in dust. How can he be the same as you? That's called style. Monkey King gave himself a thumbs up. His words almost made the 3 exorcists kneel. Their expressions were stiff and lifeless. They lined up in a row and knelt in front of Monkey King. Monkey King asked, "Have you ever picked lice for me, old Lord Taishan?" The three of them shook their heads in unison. Wukong asked again, "Then are you the great sage equaling heaven?" The three of them shook their heads again. Monkey King sneered, "Then why do you still dare to be arrogant with me? Let me tell you, the great sage, heaven's equal, is the epitome of a demon, never forgetting his roots. It doesn't forget its roots and is the model of Taoism and Buddhism. Screw me." After saying that, he slapped Tiger Form Fist and made him fall to the ground. "You dare to be arrogant with me?" Tiger Form Fist came back to his senses. He pointed at Monkey King's nose and said, "I'm telling you, stop hitting me." Monkey King gave him a backhand slap. "If Monkey King wants to hit you, what do you dare to do? I'm telling you, stop hitting me. If you hit me again, I'll get angry." Tiger Form Fist pretended to be fierce. "So what if I hit you? You still dare to hit me?" Monkey King continued to slap Tiger Form Fist. Tiger Form Fist staggered a few steps back and raised his hand to protect his head. "I'm telling you, stop hitting me. If you hit me again, I'll hit you again. Ah, I'm going to get angry. Brothers, let's attack together. Beat this coward to death." Tiger Form Fist roared and got into a stance. Rumbling sounds of thunder came from his limbs and torso. It was the tiger leopard thunder roar. He clenched his fingers into claws, like a leopard clawing out its claws. His energy sank into his dantian, and he channeled his strength into his fingertips. When he attacked, the wind and lightning were torn apart. His baleful aura was hidden within, and he was even more ferocious than when he fought with Miss Duan. The muscular man's legs were rooted to the ground, and he opened his arms wide like a pair of horns. He seemed to have fused with the Five Fingers Mountain, and the Five Fingers Mountain was helping him. His entire body was filled with qi, and his muscles swelled up. The formless aura he exuded caused the air to disperse, forming a baleful aura that looked like a black cloud. This stance was very familiar to Monkey King, and he suddenly said, "Isn't this the stance of the old bull pulling the cart?" As for the pale-faced scholar, he twisted his body twice, as if he had no bones. His body was incredibly flexible, assuming a posture that was definitely not used by humans. Don't look at how he doesn't have muscles like the two people in front of him, but Goku can sense that his seemingly weak body has an astonishing amount of power stored in it. His chi twisted like a snake, and he looked like he could shoot out at any moment. Monkey King could feel that the three of them had their own unique traits. He suddenly nodded his head and said, "So you're the remnants of the Star Sect. I was wondering why a Hebei person like you would practice the Tiger Form Fist." So it wasn't the Southern Fist's Tiger Form Fist. It was the Tiger Form Fist of the Mountain Lord. The two you brought should be the Bull Elephant and the Snake Elephant. You can actually guess our origins. The Snake Lord laughed sinisterly. As expected of the King of Demons, the Monkey King of the past. Why are there only 3 small fries from the 12 star sects? Monkey King asked calmly. The Tiger Form Fist was enraged. What do you mean by 3 small fries? Don't misunderstand. Monkey King said slowly. I'm not trying to flatter the others. What I mean is, why didn't the 12 small fries come together in an orderly manner? We're a family, and even if we die, we should die in an orderly manner. Only the 3 of you are here? What are you talking about? The Bull Lord roared. Shameless boasting. He pressed forward. Under the combined attack of the 3 star sects, it was indeed a sight to behold. But to Monkey King, it was like a grasshopper. He couldn't raise his spirits and couldn't get serious. However, he had no choice but to deal with it. He could only form a hand seal with both of his hands and continued to sit on the rock. He seemed slow, but he was actually calm. He whispered into the ears of the 3 people who were rushing to attack. Since you are from the 12 star sects, don't you recognize a palm technique that descends from the sky?" After saying that, he raised his arm and struck the palm seal in front of him. An unimaginably powerful aura instantly froze the entire Five-Finger Mountain. And where Monkey King was standing was right on top of the giant reclining Buddha's palms. A huge swastika symbol appeared behind Monkey King. Looking at the familiar hand seal, the tiger form fist, or rather, the mountain lord widened his eyes in disbelief. But it was too late, as the powerful aura that could tear the entire Five-Finger Mountain apart hit the three people. They didn't even make a sound. In the blink of an eye, they turned into ashes. Even their ashes were slapped onto the mountain and merged with it. Only then did Monkey King slowly retract his palm. That's right, this is the Buddha's palm. In this world, other than Buddha, who else knows the Buddha's palm better than me? This is the Buddha's palm that made your ashes fall to the ground. From afar, Xuanzang raised his head and looked towards the Five-Finger Mountain. He didn't know why he was moved, so he turned around and said to the samsara travelers who were climbing, "Everyone work hard. In 7 days, we will reach the boundary of the Five-Finger Mountain." After saying that, he continued to climb the dangerous mountain path with difficulty. Chapter 995. When they arrived at the Five-Finger Mountain, Chun Xuanzang and the samsara travelers felt that something was wrong. To be honest, there was a reason why the Monkey King had not been discovered for 500 years. In addition to the fact that the Five-Finger Mountain was too remote, there are many other barren mountains like the Five-Finger Mountain in the vast Gobi Desert. To find the Five-Finger Mountain, where the Monkey King was located in the vast mountains, one had to admit that fate was necessary. And this place could really be called a barren mountain. It was so remote that not even birds would defecate. Therefore, when Chun Xuanzang arrived at the old temple, he was shocked to see all sorts of strange people rubbing shoulders with each other, not knowing where they came from. The small temple had been tidied up, and the broken roof had been repaired. With the small temple as the center, tents and shacks that were stacked haphazardly formed a sizable camp. In the camp, there were strange people in Buddhist and Taoist costumes passing by. There were indigenous people with tattoos all over their faces, shamans in leather jackets, and witches who were twitching from time to time. Xuanzang walked past a half-naked man who was pushing a stone lock with his clothes spread open. Because it was too crowded, Xuanzang had to put his palms together and apologize to the man who was looking at him strangely. The strong man stared at him, and his biceps were jumping. Xuanzang swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and a pungent smell of curry came. Before he arrived, the smell reached him first, and then a Hindustani with a headscarf brushed past his nose. In just a few breaths, Xuanzang saw 3 monks from the same sect, a lama wearing a pilla hat, a Japanese monk wearing a Japanese kasaya, and an ascetic monk from India. There were 6 Taoist priests from the Shangqing sect, Chuanjin sect, and Tianshi sect, as well as various sects and schools of thought. There were 2 blind people, 3 deaf people, and 4 or 5 disabled people of all kinds. There were people with broken limbs who were pushed by a servant in a wheelchair, and beggars who were missing a little finger. There was a white banner hanging on the place where the plaque was hung in the old temple. It said, "Congratulations on the 3rd Exorcist Conference of the Tang Empire and the Demon Slaying Conference." Xuanzang didn't even have the time to be surprised when he encountered a familiar person. A flirtatious woman stopped him and shouted, "Chen Xuanzang, where have you taken our stronghold master?" Xuanzang had met her once. Looking at the group of people behind her, it was the group of people who pretended to be Western exorcists to help Miss Duan cheat his chastity on the night when the pig monster was wreaking havoc. At this time, one of the exorcists noticed the indefinite golden bangle on Xuanzang's hand and exclaimed, "Isn't that the master's indefinite golden bangle? Brat, tell me, did you plot against our stronghold master for money and lives?" At this time, the flirtatious woman came up and slapped him. "Third brother, are you stupid? Look at his weak, poor appearance. How can he defeat Dejia?" After saying that, He turned to Xuanzang and said fiercely, "Tell me, where did you sell Dejie to? Please listen to my explanation," Xuanzang said dejectedly. The third oldest fool waved his hand and said, "What's there to explain? I don't want to hear it. Quickly tell us, where did you trick our big sister to? She told us that she was going to look for you, but in the end there was no result. She didn't even participate in the exorcism conference." We asked. The flirtatious fourth sister sneered. "There's news that Tiger-form Fist and Mr. Emptiness met Dejie here. At that time she was still beside you. Later, the news that this is the Five Fingers Mountain that suppressed the Monkey King spread. The exorcists of the world decided to hold the third exorcism conference here, which is also known as the Sun Slaying Conference, to determine the number one exorcist. So many people have come and gone, but no one has seen Big Sister. Where did you hide her?" Xuanzang was stunned. Then he sighed and said, "Follow me." The exorcists looked at each other. At this time, Chun Xuanzang had already walked towards the old temple. They had no choice but to follow him, together with the group of samsara travelers behind him. After passing through the mirror-like stone basin of the old temple, they walked another 800 steps towards Mount Wuji and arrived at a depression where wind and qi gathered. A simple and crude wind shadow was erected here. On the grave made of rocks, there was a slightly flat stone tablet with the words, "My beloved Miss Duan's grave," erected by Xuanzang. When the group of exorcists saw the stone tablet, it was as if they were struck by lightning. They froze on the spot. Then the fourth female exorcist screamed, "This is impossible! How did my dead Jedi?" Second brother said angrily. He lifted Xuanzang and asked, "Did you kill her?" Xuanzang had no choice but to tell them everything that happened when they reformed the pig demon. There was a long silence. Finally, fourth brother suppressed his anger and said, "How could Dejie fall in love with a piece of trash like you? You are also responsible for her death. But for the sake of Dejie, I'll spare you. Let's go." After saying that, she led the group of exorcists who were glaring at them and prepared to leave. Xuanzang hurriedly asked, "What are you going to do?" "Kill the Monkey King and avenge Dejie. Avenge Big Sister." The others also said, "Yes, avenge. You are no match for the Monkey King." "I came this time to reform the Monkey King and make him give up his butcher knife," Xuanzang said anxiously. "Give up his butcher knife? You're no match for him." Fourth sister sneered. She pointed at the camp in front of her and said to Xuanzang, "Do you see so many people here? They're all here to kill the Monkey King. You still say that you're no match for him? I'm only worried that he died too quickly and easily. He didn't die at our hands. Don't talk to us about reforming him. Let me tell you, we won't let the pig demon or the Monkey King off." Xuanzang said anxiously, "Come back quickly. The Monkey King isn't that simple. No matter how many of you there are, you're no match for him." At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from the camp. "Guests and exorcists, welcome to the third exorcism conference of the Tang Dynasty. Here are exorcists from the Tang Dynasty, Dongying, Baiwe, Siam, Silla, Korea, Turks, Xianbei, and even India and Western Qin. We're here to eradicate the king of the demons, the Monkey King. Who's the number one exorcist? The king of the demons is waiting for you to conquer him. I'm traveling Monk Sun, the host of this exorcism conference." Xuanzang saw countless rays of light gathering in the old temple. Goku slowly walked out of the temple, stood under the white banner, and said to all the exorcists. All the exorcists looked at him. But apart from Xuanzang and the others, no one could tell that this short man, who was less than 6 feet tall and covered in knots of monkey hair, was the legendary great sage equaling heaven. Furthermore, no one would think that the host in front of the temple, who was so dirty that they couldn't even tell that he looked like a monkey, was their target, Sun Wukong. When Xuanzang saw the Monkey King, his body stiffened. He turned his head and made a cracking sound. The reincarnators felt like they were in a dream. Zhuang Baifeng said, "Is that the Monkey King?" The magician said stiffly, "Maybe." "Why isn't he in the seal?" Ramukan asked, sweating profusely. Zhuang Baifeng murmured, "Maybe he came out to take a breather?" "That host!" An exorcist shouted from below. "Can you wash yourself clean before coming again? You smell." At this point, the crowd echoed, but there were also people who objected. A group of beggars in front of the exorcist stood up and said, "So what if I smell? So what if I'm sloppy? Do you have any objections? We exorcists don't care about length. What's wrong?" A 9-fingered beggar said loudly, "I think it's good this way. We're all exorcists. We go through the wind and rain every day. It's completely understandable that we're a bit rough." Next, "We're all here to kill the Monkey King with our own abilities. What right do you have to stand up and tell us what to do?" The muscular man holding the stone, Locke shouted. The Monkey King pointed at him and said loudly, "Well said." It spread its hands and said, "We're all here to kill the Monkey King, but there's only one Monkey King. There are so many people here. Who's going first? Who's willing to let others go first?" Some people will say, "We're all here to kill the Monkey King with our own abilities. Why should we be the last in line? If you all rush forward like this, are you going to kill your grandson or kill each other first?" Everything in the exorcism world, from the sun-slaying assembly attended by millions of exorcists to the small fire started by a few people, is it a failure? The failure of any joint exorcism operation is first and foremost a failure of the organization. If there's no good coordination mechanism between exorcists and there's no way to resolve the problem, then instead of saying that we're here to exorcise, it's better to say that we're here to kill each other. The cause of killing the grandson is not the need of a single person or group. It's not my cause alone, but the common wish of all exorcists and the people of the Tang dynasty. Now, at this time, if the Grand Killer is elected as the first exorcist, can he be justified if he doesn't get the recognition of all the sages present? Therefore, I believe that the person who killed the grandson shouldn't be the first exorcist. Instead, we should first elect the first exorcist or a few candidates to lead us in killing the grandson. Well said, the burly man said loudly. The Shaolin Temple's master Shanglong was the first to shake his staff and use the lion's roar technique to say, "That's right." The Chuanjin Taoist Jingming nodded slowly and said, "That makes sense." Immediately, there was thunderous applause. "Thank you, thank you." The Monkey King bowed to the audience and said, "Thank you for your support. Ever since I made up my mind to join the exorcism cause, I vowed to kill the grandson. I'll dedicate my life to the exorcism family. If you want to carry out the mission of killing the grandson, please allow me to be the vanguard." The Monkey King clenched his fists excitedly and shouted to the sky, "Kill the grandson!" The exorcists below also raised their fists and shouted, "Kill the grandson! Subdue the demon, kill the grandson demon. The sages gather on the 5 Fingers Mountain. We will not return until the grandson demon is killed." The Monkey King's eyes were brimming with tears, as if moved by the unity of the exorcists and the grand occasion of eliminating the Demon King. He said loudly, "Unite as one to subdue the demon. Who else but me can kill the grandson demon? Did you see that?" "Fourth sister," said to Xuanzang, "we exorcists are united as one. You still say that we're not Monkey King's match?" She pointed at the Monkey King and said, "In front of these exorcists who risk their lives, what demon or demon can't be subdued?" "No," she cried out, "I tell you no.